thanks to our friends at ETB for putting in the live odds now, courtesy of Novig. Again, if you want to put some plays down on the 3 MLB playoff games today, you can certainly do so. You can actually click on the Playbot chat, and it'll take you to the Novig website where you can begin to make your plays and make your moves for today's games in the MLB playoffs.
I just toggled it on, so just everyone who's watching, it should catch up in the next minute or two, but don't mind me.
All right, Nick, you ready to hide underneath the desk?
Well, we all knew it was going to happen at some point, but I didn't expect it to happen this way.
That is right, gang, in the WNBA. But after the Minnesota Lynx were knocked out of the postseason and after suffering a pretty rough ankle injury, Lynx star forward Naphessa Collier delivered a scathing rebuke of the league front office for the WNBA during her exit interview earlier this week and put Commissioner Cathy Engelbert directly in her crosshairs. Collier, over a 4.5-minute long prepared statement, accused the league's leadership of being negligent and tone deaf to the needs of WNBA players, mainly on the issues of officiating and also compensation. She claimed that in a conversation with the commissioner during the inaugural Unrivaled season, that the commissioner had the gall to tell her that players like Clark, Reese, and Beckers should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I, the commissioner, got them, and that only losers complain about the refs. Nick, I believe we do have Naphessa's 4.5-minute long
yes, we do.
Thoughts. Again, this was done within, I'd say, a day or two after Minnesota was knocked out of the postseason during the team's usual exit interview process where players will give their lasting thoughts on the season, what went right, what went wrong. So with that, Nick, let's hear from Fee herself from Minnesota.
I just want to say one thing before we do this. It's a long piece, so we are going to have to pause in the middle and kind of react because this is about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. It's a long piece, so we'll stop when necessary when she says certain things and we'll discuss. But take a listen to Naphessa.
Thank you all for your time today. I have prepared a statement that I would like to make before taking any questions. All right. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate the Mercury for advancing to the finals. And I want to be clear, this conversation is not about winning or losing. It's about something much bigger. The real threat to our league isn't money, it isn't ratings, or even missed calls, or even physical play. It's the lack of accountability from the league office. Since I've been in the league, you've heard the constant concerns about officiating, and it has now reached levels of inconsistency that plague our sport and undermine the integrity in which it operates. Whether the league cares about the health of the players is one thing, but to also not care about the product we put on the floor is truly self-sabotage. Year after year, the only thing that remains consistent is the lack of accountability from our leaders.
All right, let's stop there for a second. So, lack of accountability from the WNBA front office, no care from the commissioner's office. This is a call-out. Yes. This is a massive call-out from one of the biggest stars in the WNBA, Naphessa Collier. What is your original reaction to that first, when you heard that first part?
Nick, when do we ever hear any player in any sport ever have not the thought process, but even wanting to kind of fire that shot across the bow?
Never. I don't care. I don't care if you can go to any sport. I don't think you would even hear LeBron James do this type of statement made. He would say other dumb things, but he would never, I don't think he would ever call out the commissioner's office ever. And this is like uncharted territory in a lot of ways. Now, would you hear this type of statement if there was no CBA negotiations going on? No, you probably would not. But I digress. Let's continue.
Sorry, I had to walk here in my boot. I'm kind of out of breath. The league has a buzzword that they've rolled out as talking points for the CBA as to why they can't pay the players what we're worth. That word is sustainability. But what's truly unsustainable is keeping a good product on the floor while allowing officials to lose control of games. Fans see it every night. Coaches, both winning and losing, point it out every night in pregame and postgame media. Yet leadership just issues fines and looks the other way.
Okay, let's stop there for a second. That's true. they're more interested in issuing fines than they're kind of ignoring free speech of the players a little bit here. And that's not right. The commissioner's office is not supposed to ignore the freedom of speech of players, right?
Correct.
So why is she doing this all of a sudden?
I don't get it either. I mean, I think a lot of people that want to try to back this league don't get it. And the main thing, Nick, I also wanted to bring up about this part of Fee's commentary was this. Why is the league so scared of being sustainable when this league is going to add 5 new teams in the next 5 years, and they're adding 2 more next season?
Right. And also all the TV partners that they're adding too, which
media deal is one thing, but now we have league expansion coming to the forefront. You don't think that that's not a sustainable factor? Or, I mean, that is a pretty big talking point that Fee brings up that word, because that word, Nick, is so thrown around nowadays. And I've heard it all the time, since the Seidler ownership group bought the Padres and they've spent and spent and spent. Like, hey, is this sustainable for a market like San Diego? Let's see. 4 playoff appearances in 6 seasons, back-to-back playoff berths since in 20 years, and the first time ever that the franchise won 90 or more games in back-to-back seasons. I think it is sustainable. In this case, though, why is the league so scared about that word? In the retrospective, you're adding more teams. You're going to create more roster spots for players that probably are journeywomen who have been in the league, but they don't get the fair shake maybe because they always are the last player off the roster come training camp. You're adding 11 to 12 more spots in these new markets over the next 3 to 4 to 5 years. So again, how is that a sustainable factor, but it doesn't trickle down to the players where the salary cap for each club is $1.5 million?
See, that's the insane part that a lot of people are talking about. But here's the issue. People are comparing the WNBA to the NBA. Now,
you can't do that.
You can't do that. Number one, and I hate saying this, but there's more sustainable revenue in the NBA than there is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not denying the fact that the WNBA can't eventually get there, but the NBA has sustainable revenue, sponsors, bigger sponsors than the WNBA.
Correct.
They have bigger media deals than the WNBA. So, of course, they're going to make more money. But you're telling me that there's no way that you can make sustainable, because that's the word, that's the buzzword that's going around with this whole scenario.
And that went to Fee's point that the favorite word, it's like that meme of the lizard pushing the lizard button, lizard.
Yes.
WNBA,
yeah.
Sustain. Like, stop it.
But it is sustainable. And by the way, the other thing, and you and I talked about this the other night, everyone is saying, oh, but the WNBA is losing $50 million. First of all,
where's the proof?
Shut up is the word I'm going to say first, because you have no idea, because all professional leagues are private entities.
Yes, you have no idea about a franchise in a different league that lost $40 million because it became public in a lawsuit, but we're never going to see the numbers.
And
unless you are a fan out there that just enjoys throwing mud at women's sports, like, some former people on this network, show me the proof. Where is the receipt you have that says that it's a minus $50 million in the red overdrawn charge at the bank for the WNBA front office?
Yeah, but here's the other issue too. Big networks and big personalities were running with that too. It wasn't just like digital or people on social media. Like, I heard Colin Cowherd mention it too. Like, and that's very unlike him and other people who don't. Now, he might have other sources that we don't know, but at the same time, you're running with the reports to say that the WNBA is in the red by $50 million. There is no proof of that, and there will never be any proof of that whatsoever. So if you're going to run with information that you can't confirm, then stop, because you don't know.
You're ahead.
Let's continue here.
Yes.
They ignore the issues that everyone inside the game is begging to be fixed. That is negligence. At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Cathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything.
Okay, time out. Like, time out here.
Time out.
Yeah, like, number one, to say that these players have to get on, well, actually, we'll get to that one. But to say that the only losers complain about the refs, I'm sorry. Naphessa Collier, Asia Wilson, Paige Beckers, Caitlin Clark, like
Cheryl Reeve, White.
Like, are those all losers to you, Cathy? Like, I'm sorry. Like, so your answer for the officiating being a fucking nightmare in the playoffs is to say, I'm going to double down and call you guys losers because you don't like the officiating. That's your answer? Really?
Wow.
Like, how are we supposed to respond to that?
More importantly, why as you as the commissioner of a league like this, even trying to rebuke or push back on the players expressing their thoughts on how the game is being played? I mean, we were just talking, Nick, about 45 minutes ago. Do we want to sit through game one on Friday and have the whistle blow every 10 seconds for somebody breathing on somebody on an inbounds play? Do we want to see Vegas and Phoenix shooting free throws within the first 2 minutes of the game when everyone's in the bonus, because now they're going to call everything a foul?
This was an NBA issue, and it is an NBA issue because they would blow the whistle too many times. Remember, I think we had a conversation early on in the show about the 90s NBA versus today's NBA, where if you got knocked over in the 90s, they didn't even blow the whistle sometimes.
No.
In today's game,
start a fight.
In today's game, if someone falls over, they cry, and then the technical foul gets called. Like, it's a totally different game in 2025 than it is in 1995. Like, so that's an issue. But to say that Caitlin should be grateful, like, I'm sorry, she does not need you and your dumb league to make $60 million.
No.
And what Cathy fails to point out too, Caitlin signed that Nike deal before she ever played a game on the court.
She was still in college.
But generally speaking, like, she signed that deal before ever playing a WNBA game.
Precisely.
So for you and your ignorant ass to say that, well, she needs our platform and that's the only way she's going to make money. Are you that tone deaf?
Which went to Fee's point about the league being tone deaf about certain issues.
Now, we'll get to Cathy's statement after, because she made such a generic. I guarantee you the WNBA PR probably wrote that, but let's continue.
And in that same conversation, she told me players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them.
All right, time out.
Stop it right there.
Time out.
Again, what commissioner would ever say that? That you need to thank me for what I've done for you?
First of all, even Roger Goodell wouldn't even say that. And Roger Goodell is one of the more vile commissioners in professional sports.
Rob Manfred wouldn't even have said this. Gary Bettman would never have said that. Don Garber never would have said that. Give me a break.
And he's a vile human being. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that statement, that saying that be thankful for what I got you.
No.
First of all,
thankful for the fact that these players have come into the league at the right time to get your product, like, actually on mainstream media for a change.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a product, Caroline Peck, who's a ESPN NBA analyst, by the way, I think she does a very good job on the WNBA stuff.
Yeah, former coach, analyst for a long time. Yes.
She came out and said, the product, you don't get the media deal without the product being successful. That's true. If the product is not successful, no one wants to buy it. They don't want it from the media side. They don't want it from an advertisement revenue side. So for her to say, thank your lucky stars, I got you a media deal. First of all, eventually someone would have come through. If it was, even if it wasn't Cathy Engelbert, like to get those deals, someone would have found a media deal for the WNBA. So this is like blasphemy, to steal a Stephen A. Smith term, to act this way. This is like a very egotistical commissioner.
I was going to say it feels egotistical. It's a little bit like pomp and circumstance. It feels like it's kind of ignorant, but also pretty arrogant. Like, it's almost like one of those like, what have you done for me lately kind of ordeals. Like, hey, I got you this media deal. What have you guys done for me in my front office? If that makes sense.
And what has the front office done for the league to be better?
Absolutely nothing.
Like the pay disparity between the WNBA and the NBA. Again, there is some small factors involved in that because, again, the NBA has more revenue. But you're telling me that there's not enough money to pay these players a little bit more? Really? Like, the salaries are outrageous. And then you're nasty to your stars on top of it. And
very dismissive of them, yes.
And the other thing, which she doesn't really say it in this, but like, I think Naphessa was wrong about one thing, which was the whole foul situation. She overreacted to that. I think that foul, it wasn't even a foul when you go and you look at the replay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the whole officiating situation kind of burnt up and that's what led to this.
And then as a sidebar, it led to Cheryl Reeve getting ejected. She got a $15,000 fine, which is the largest fine given out by the front office to any player or coach. It led to Becky Hammon and Stephanie White also coming to her defense. They got fined for kind of, in a way, playing the role of defense for Cheryl and stuff like that. Then, of course, we had before Game 5, before and after Game 5, Nick, we had both the Fever and Aces also have their coaches say their piece about Collier's commentary. Asia Wilson, after the game, also said her piece.
Everybody.
Yeah, I mean, everybody did. But but like you said, though, Nick, a little bit earlier in this segment, though, this league cares more about censoring the thoughts and opinions of the players and coaches so damn much that this is a league that loves walking on eggshells every given day of the week that ends in the letter Y. Because why would you even worry about finding coaches, defending a fellow coach, a fellow comrade on the sidelines for them getting the largest fine given out in your league's history? Again, $15K is totally different than a $200 fine for Sophie Cunningham's TikTok that we talked about months ago during the season.
Well, and we've seen other players get fined lately too, because the WNBA would rather focus. Now, here's the irony of the fines, okay? And most people are not going to think of it this way. You're actually putting more attention on those comments by fining these players rather than say, oh, I want it to go away. Yeah, that's what you're doing.
If you keep fining whenever anyone opens their mouth about anything, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, and because you don't want to take the criticism that comes with the job you're in. You know, you and I were told about having thick skin in this industry.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Between you and me, mainly you, when it comes to, content with you getting destroyed, obviously I got destroyed for my thoughts about the pay us what you owe them shirts. Obviously it broke the network TikTok account again.
It's a good video though.
I mean, but the commentary is one thing, obviously. It's like, okay, I can deal with that because this is my thoughts. Give me your thoughts. Yes, I know that a lot of the thoughts are very much baseless claims and it's this or that or whatnot. But if you want to be in a position of power like Engelbert is, you can't worry about or sweat the small stuff when players voice genuine frustration that fans who have paid hard-earned money to go and sell out arenas whenever Clark comes to town or Reese comes to town or their team is in a playoff series, and the referees make it about themselves. You need to be able to take that criticism and hear from the players who are voicing their concerns. I think more importantly, though, Nick, with Collier's commentary, this, I think, gives the players even more leverage come Halloween day when that deadline passes for the new CBA for next season.
We'll get to that at the end of the conversation. But the other issue you have, and we'll continue listening to this, is Naphessa being one of the co-owners of Unrivaled with Brianna Stewart and a few others.
And a VP for the WNBA's Players Association, too, on top of that.
Now, you and I have been on this, and I'm going to say it again. There's still collusion going on. As much as Naphessa is, for the most part, right about what is going on in the league, you're on both sides. Sorry, I hate to say this, but you're on both sides of the aisle. You can't be on both sides of the aisle. Either you have to want change in the WNBA or go run Unrivaled and do that. These two sides, Unrivaled and the WNBA, are never going to work together in any way, shape, or form.
Am I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to say, Nick, that this could, keyword here is could, within the next 29 days, when that deadline passes, could this become the new PGA versus LIV story that we talk about on the show for the next several weeks?
That's a good question.
Because now, Nick, we have a separate entity, Fee and Stewie running Unrivaled, new upstart league. In some way, shape, form, or size. I know that, again, our great friend Christine Brennan from USA Today called the league, a goofy operation.
Is it really, though?
But either way, Unrivaled now trying to compete head-on with the W, which, as we are projecting, this gives these players a plan B when the lockout does hit in 29 days. If the lockout goes into the season calendar. But this, in a way, though, kind of feels like, I don't think it'll be as, maybe I'm wrong, but this could become very much resembling a LIV PGA, a AFL NFL, an ABA NBA in some way. I mean, okay, maybe I'm going a little bit too far in the weeds, but I don't know. I just feel like, though, when the players, Nick, not just, and I know we'll get to this later too, but after Fee's commentary, and almost every player, current player, retired player who's on the fringe, when they're voicing their backing of Naphessa, that is kind of a telltale sign about what the players think of their coworkers within their union and what they think of the bosses in New York, though, in Manhattan.
Right. The one thing I will say, though, because you brought up PGA LIV or Live. Live has a different connotation to it because we're talking about an organization that could be a little dangerous, that runs, that is backing.
Yeah,
Live Golf.
I really wasn't trying to say that part. Is more like Unrivaled 3-on-3. LIV Golf plays like it's the Ryder Cup or President's Cup every year, where we're so used to one set of, like, we're used to the game of basketball, 5-on-5, all that. Unrivaled is 3v3, playing half court, I believe. LIV is all about team golf, where PGA is all about stroke play, individual versus individual. More along those lines than anything else.
I think Unrivaled is still full court, I think, but the reason I think that PGA and Live are different is because Live is just throwing millions upon millions upon millions of dollars.
Yeah, they're just throwing money around like it's nothing.
Because what you're talking about, the Saudi Public Interest Fund,
yes,
which runs, well, I don't know if they run Live, but they support Live.
They financially back it in some way.
They financially support a bunch of soccer teams, including, I think, was it Ronaldo?
Was playing on, yeah.
Which they paid him a shitload of money. Like,
it
was the money that they're spending, the fund is, like, worth $55 billion. That's, like, how much when I looked it up the other day. So, I would say it's different because Liv is just throwing money at guys, and they took it because it was such an insane amount of money. But it did cause a ripple effect because eventually what ended up happening is the PGA said, look, you took the money with Liv. We don't play nice with them. And I respect that, by the way, because the US doesn't want to play with the Saudis. I don't blame them for that.
Your tour card is revoked.
Right. And they said, look, you can't play the tour events, but
we'll let you in for the Masters, the US Open.
Yes, the 4 majors.
The Grand Slam events.
Because the 4 majors, like in tennis, the 4 majors are not run by the like the WTA or the PGA. So all the majors have their own entities, so they can, as long as you're, I guess, willing to pay to be in the event, it doesn't matter how you get into it.
Nick, can we listen to the next part of Fee's commentary?
Yes, we can.
That's a mentality driving our league from the top. We go to battle every day to protect a shield that doesn't value us. The league believes it succeeds despite its players, not because of them. I have the privilege of watching my husband run a league where he has to balance 100 different things at once. I won't pretend the job is easy, but even with all of that on his plate, he always takes the time to reach out to players when he sees an injury, whether it's Unrivaled or even during the WNBA season. That is what leadership looks like. It's the human element. It's basic intent.
Yeah.
So I want to first go to Fee's point about protecting the shield. You know this, Nick, very well more than I do about the NFL. Protecting the shield, protecting the NFL, protecting the league's best interests. That's a very, like another nice call out. Not even mentioning that. More importantly, Nick, bravo to Collier, by the way, for not even calling the commissioner out by her name other than a couple of times. But that one right there was very telling about we're playing and busting our ass for a league or a brand that doesn't value us as players in some way, shape, form, or size.
Right. This is odd because this is a unique scenario where you have a competitive league, even though Cathy keeps saying we don't compete with Unrivaled, which is absurd.
Which goes back to my first day here during the WNBA draft where we talked about those comments that were made that first day here back in April.
It's absurd, though. It's absolutely freaking absurd for her to say that Unrivaled is not a competitor. They're going to kick your ass in a couple of years if you don't figure out these issues with the CBA. I mean...
And honestly, I don't really care if you're adding more WNBA teams.
That doesn't fix the issue.
You've got to get through this giant hurdle right now of this lockout that's going to be coming, we believe, within the next 29 days.
To be honest, I think this is going to be a long lockout. Because,
I think so too.
Because they came out the other day and said they're even further apart than they were.
After this happened. So this is literally pouring gasoline on the fire.
Like, they're burning down the WNBA front office now.
Let me, Nick, because I know that you kind of wanted to rebuke about Collier bringing up her husband, about him juggling all the roles with Unrivaled.
Yeah.
Let me say, though, that Elena Deladon, who I know I have name dropped because of how she left Chicago with that mess with that organization.
Yes.
She said the same thing, though, is that when EDD was struggling with Lyme disease or her back during her career between Chicago and Washington, players would reach out to her, coaches would reach out to her, but the commissioner at the time, whether it was Laurel Richie, Lisa Borders, or whoever, they never would. Now, again, I don't know why that was even brought up, though. But at least that the thing that Deladon said, though, is that the human element of the game is what we're also missing here a little bit. When players go down and miss time, they're not with the team. They're rehabbing. They're frustrated. They're ticked off, what have you, so on and so forth. And like we heard, earlier from Naphessa, she was, on her scooter going to the, this exit interview because she's got her foot in a boot. And I think the injury was like a grade 2 ankle sprain.
Yeah, ligament tear, too.
Ligament tears, you name it. So Yeah, I agree though. Why bring up your husband juggling all this stuff though? But also it's like at least that front office members in some way can at least have the common decency to see how the player's doing after they get injured.
That I agree with. Excuse me. But I feel like that part has nothing to do with the conversation.
Yes.
I feel like, don't get me wrong, running a league is very difficult. It is not easy. That's why they get paid a lot of money as the commissioner or the front office of all the leagues get paid a lot of money because it is hard work. I am not disputing that in any means, but I think she tried to oversell the Unrivaled point a little bit. Now, by the way, is that irony now that we're heading into a WNBA lockout that the league is called Unrivaled?
Why do you think the headline for the show is called Naphessa Collier's Unrivaled versus Cathy Engelbert?
And that's why I said we should go with that title that you came up with, because it's such a microcosm of what we're talking about here. And she's been spot on for the most part. The only part I didn't like was when she brought up her husband and in the league, but I think she's been right.
Let's wrap up her commentary here.
Yeah.
Integrity, and it's the bare minimum any leader should embody. This year alone, I've gotten calls, texts, and well wishes from so many players across the league. Those moments remind me that sometimes there are things bigger than the results this game we play. But do you know who I haven't heard from? Cathy. Not one call, not one text. Instead, the only outreach has come from her number 2 telling my agent that she doesn't believe physical play is contributing to injuries.
Hold on. Time out.
Stop.
Time out. Physical play does not lead to injuries?
Yeah, what happened on that final play where the Lynx got knocked out?
Now, I did say before, like you're talking about the Alyssa Thomas Steele situation, but that was more just freak injury than like a foul or a fight between players. But for Cathy to say physical play does not lead to injuries,
so damn asinine.
Cathy, what world are you living on? Are you on the planet Mars?
Cathy, you were a damn lacrosse player. I mean, your game didn't have any physical play. What are you talking about?
That sport is like the king and queen of injuries. Sometimes lacrosse, like
hockey, lacrosse,
lacrosse. So this is just absurd, like absurd in every way, shape, or form.
That is infuriating. And it's the perfect example of the tone-deaf, dismissive approach that our leaders always seem to take. I've finally grown tired. For too long, I have tried to have these conversations in private, but it's clear there is no intention of accepting there's a problem. The league has made it clear it isn't about innovation, it isn't about collaboration, it's about control and power.
Okay. That was probably one of the most important quotes of that entire read right there.
Yeah.
To say it's not about innovation or collaboration, it's about control and power. That is spot on.
It's spot on. Along with the fact, though, Nick, that comment right there is what I think triggered the entire player union and association to, stand and applaud and salute Madam VP right there. Because I know that this has been the volcano waiting to erupt. The lava's been boiling and boiling and boiling. And we've heard from Fee. We heard from Sophie Cunningham. They are getting tired, Nick, of all of this malarkey in the league. And I can think back to other games that I recall in the finals or postseason almost a decade ago when Minnesota was playing against LA. There were 2 series shifting calls that showed up in your favorite thing of all time, the Last 2 Minute Report. There was a missed backcourt violation in Game 4 in LA that the Sparks could have tied or taken the lead and won the title at home. And the biggest one of that, the biggest atrocity, even with me rooting for LA in that series, because Candace Park was trying to get her first ring, the referees botched a shot clock violation that would have given Minnesota the ball back, and they were still leading. And they never reviewed the call, and LA won their first title in 14 years that season. players get tired of the LT, the last 2-minute report. They get tired of the, backhanded statements afterwards of, after reviewing this play when the game concluded, that,
You're talking about when the refs go to the media scrum after a game and they say, oh, I effed up. I goofed.
Yeah. They're more worried about finding players, like I said. They're more worried, too, Nick, about fans heckling the opposing team. Now, when it crosses the line, release a statement, but not after, whatever the case may be. And I think, though, that this week, Nick, the last 2 to 3 to 4 days, I don't ever think I have seen a players' union or a league of players ever rally around each other as quickly, as efficiently, and as vocally as this league has over the last, I'd say, 72 hours?
Well, I would say these last 72 hours are a result of what's been going on with the CBA negotiations. I would say that Naphessa making this commentary was a result of the year-long plus CBA negotiations been going on. So I look at it more as timeline more than just direct result that is going on. So I think the players finally said, you know what? Enough of this shit. We gotta figure this out. And how do we get together as a league to go against a commissioner who's tone deaf when it comes to these situations? But let's finish this up because we're almost at the end of it. So,
and then we'll move on.
I've earned this platform and I paid the price to get here. And now I have a responsibility to speak on behalf of the fans and everyone in this league that deserves better. Our leadership's answer to being held accountable is to suppress everyone's voices by handing out fines. I'm not concerned about a fine. I'm concerned about the future of our sport. At some point, everyone deserves to hear the truth from someone who I hope has earned the benefit of the doubt to fight for what is right and fair for our athletes and our fans. We have the best players in the world. We have the best fans in the world. But right now, we have the worst leadership in the world. If I didn't know exactly what the job entailed, maybe I wouldn't feel this way. But unfortunately for them, I do. We serve a league that has shown they think championship coaches and Hall of Fame players are dispensable, and that's fine. It's professional sports. But I will not stand quietly by and allow different standards to be applied at the league level.
So there you go. That's the full statement right there. Wow. Number one. The call out at the end of that right there.
And that's been the quote, Nick, that's been circulating since the commentary was that, hey, say what you want about the sport of women's basketball and where the league has tried to get to over the last several years. But holy cow, man. Best players in the world, best fans in the world, but the worst leadership in the world. Talk about like a mic drop moment if there ever was one.
I mean, there was another player we could have heard from too, as well, because she's not as quietly spoken either. I think we should play that for people too, just so they can hear it. And I know
let's real quick. Let's go and hear from Sophie Cunningham before we put a wrap on this opening segment here. We move on to our next topic, but obviously we knew, Nick, eventually that Sophie Cunningham would probably say her piece. She did so the day at her exit interview in Indianapolis. What did Cunningham have to say about the league front office?
And I'm going to be good today. I am, because I'm just tired of our league. They need to step up and be better. Our leadership from top to bottom needs to be held accountable. I think that there are a lot of people in the position of powers in the WNBA who they might be really great business people, but they don't know shit about basketball. And that's got to change. Damn. I said I was going to be good and I just messed up. But I do. I think everyone's frustrated when NBA players from that side of things are reaching out to us, just like in awe of how terrible it is. Like, that's saying something. That is absolutely saying something when your counterpart is feeling bad for us because of how we're getting treated. I mean, come on. And that's from leadership. That's from I mean, I'll just leave it there. From our leadership, it's just bad. When fans and players, especially players, when we're competing at the highest level and it's like a battlefield out there, when we're agreeing on the court because of how awful the officials are, like that's saying something. Like, listen to us. We're not going to come for your heads, but I think there is room for improvement to change the criteria when the whole league is asking for it. But when the leadership isn't doing anything about it, why? And so I think there's just frustration. The game's not fun to watch because everyone's just trying to kill each other, because that's how you're going to survive. Otherwise, you get injured. I don't know. It just sucks. Our game is changing, and yeah, we want it to be physical, but at the same time, like, you still want to watch good basketball. And when they can't get that under control, it's not fun.
And that goes to my point from earlier on in the block, Nick, about, do we want to watch game one on playback on Friday where there's going to be whistles every 30 seconds and there's going to be no flow and rhythm to the game?
Hell no. No one wants to watch an unflowed game. This was an NBA issue we had for a long time where they would just blow the whistle nonstop, and it disrupted the play of the game, and fans would get irritable sitting in the stands because they don't like seeing a slow game. We're in a world where 10-second TikTok videos are not fast enough for us now. Now, I'm not saying us, but for the generations below us that are coming up, they can't sit still. So now you're going to slow the game down and blow the whistle even more? That's a problem.
Major problem. By the way, a couple quick footnotes about, in wake of the comments, Collier's commentary also came, I believe it came the day of Game 5 of the semifinals between Indiana and Vegas. And there was a video shown, I believe, before the game from Commissioner Engelbert promoting fan sportsmanship, and the video was widely booed by the fans in Vegas at Michelob Ultra Arena. But also, Nick, the other sidebar is that there are unnamed sources who told the Sports Business Journal that Engelbert could be on her way out, though the league officially did rebuke those claims. So we'll see where that goes, though. But that was like another small sidebar from the last couple of days. I
tried to reach out to that person because I won't believe anything until I hear a source that officially confirms, because the WNBA PR came out and said that that's 100% false and that there's no finding to it. So I have no idea what to believe currently, but would you put it past that Cathy Engelbert might have to step down because of how poorly she runs this league and how she talks to her players? Yeah.
I would think so too. But anyway, though, folks, again, we didn't mean to go 46 minutes on the first topic, but again, a lot to get through there with Naphessa Collier really firing another shot across the bow for the ongoing struggle between the league, or the WNBA, and their Players Association.
It's been a while since we've had to do that.
It's been a while, and again, we will keep our eyes glued to that story. Again, we are on lockout watch. 29 more days to go until that lockout officially takes place.
It's crazy, by the way, that number is like approaching, that we're in the month where the lockout takes place. And by the way, we don't want to see the sport go away. We actually like watching the sport. And by the way, curtain poll here on playback, they want to do the full season next year, where we don't even have to request the games next year. So we would have full access to the WNBA games. You're going to have a lockout now?
Of course we are. Bravo,
good job,
Cathy Engelbert. Good Lord. All right, Nick, let's go back to our next topic finally here. Nick, this was a very weird moment on ESPN on Wednesday, but MLB analyst Ben McDonald created himself an awkward moment on the Wednesday broadcast of the wild card round between the Padres and Cubs when he was asked to help promote the upcoming NHL opening night on ESPN. He responded to Kevin Brown after the read, "There is zero chance I'll be watching. I'm just going to be honest with you." His quip about the NHL opening night drew laughter from lead color analyst Jess Mendoza, while Kevin Brown tried his best to steer the conversation to remain on track to fulfill the commercial read for NHL opening night. And Nick, I know that we have this commentary too. Let's have a listen.
And the Blackhawks return to the ice next Tuesday, NHL opening night against the defending champion Florida Panthers at 5 Eastern, 4 Central on ESPN. Triple header that night. Penguins, Rangers, Avalanche, Kings. Ben, I know you got an opinion on this. Panthers three-peat this year. What do you think?
If you say so. I mean, good luck to them. Are you asking me if I'm going to be watching?
No, you'll be watching, of course, because you work for ESPN. You'll be watching Friday night.
There is zero chance I'll be watching. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Where will you be?
I will be somewhere, but there's zero chance I'll be watching.
All right, thanks, Ben. We'll be watching. Thanks for the rating boost.
I mean, wow, is all I got to say.
Yeah. So, Nick, the comments that were made, as we just heard from the horse's mouth on Wednesday with Kevin Brown, Jess Mendoza, and Ben McDonald, the comments sparked outrage among the hockey fan base and drew a pointed retort from the top hockey ESPN voice, John Buchagras, who clapped back on Twitter, writing in part, 0 is also how many postseason innings Ben McDonald pitched in his MLB career, open and close quote. The incident, though, Nick, does raise questions about internal company unity and the respect or lack thereof between different sports entities within a single network. So, Nick, is this commentary by McDonald fireable, but does this public spat reveal a broader rift between sports communities within media networks? Now, Nick, before you give your thoughts here, I went to the Petco Park watch party on Wednesday, and my legs got sunburned. It was 75 degrees. We're sitting on AstroTurf watching the game and watching the Padres stay alive for one more day. But I went, though, with two friends of mine who are season seat holders for the AHL club here in San Diego, who I will start my 10th year with in about 2 weeks. We both looked at each other and were like, what the hell was that, in a way? Now, granted, our team or teams aren't playing. Well, one of our friends' team is playing that day with the Avalanche playing against LA. But even we looked at each other like, did that really just happen? In a way, like, how can ESPN or how can this analyst who works for the damn company take that kind of tone or that kind of comment about a property that ESPN has a $2.8 billion contract with for the next, I believe, 5 seasons in some roundabout way.
So it started in 21. I think they had a 7-year deal, so 28, I think.
But I mean, Nick, either way. And yes, people can call me out saying, well, you act the same way about the NFL. Do I work for ESPN? Do I work for Fox? Do I work for NBC? Do I work for the NFL Network?
You don't work for an entity like that.
Nick, that right there, Nick, would be like anyone who doesn't like a particular sport to be on a platform that has a deal with them and say, well, I'm not going to watch. I'll be somewhere, at a bar drinking margs and watching something else.
Well, the example I guess I can give, like, for here, that would be like if someone said, well, I hate gambling, and we work with Novig.
Yeah.
That would be the same thing. Like, no, you can't say that. Like, you can't do it. Like, sometimes, like, companies have deals with things that you don't like, but just because you don't like it doesn't mean other people don't. I mean, it's part of the game. Now, Kevin Brown, who's one of the best baseball announcers,
I thought he did a great job just trying to sucker him in and try to reel him back, saying, hey, yo, we're not doing this stuff here. Come on now.
Trying to navigate it in a sense. I think he's done national games before for ESPN baseball. But to be put in a spot where you're on ABC, not just ESPN, ABC, you're in all TVs around the country, and your color analyst is taking a shit all over hockey. Like, can't you read the room a little and say, it's not, I think what Kevin Brown was trying to do was like a lot of announcers are, hey, like, I'm trying to build it up because they're like, it's a promo, like trying to say, hey, we have a sport. And thanks a lot, playback, right there for knocking us off stage. Wow. We just got knocked off stage again, and I didn't even do it. What was I saying? Oh, that a lot of times the announcers will say, hey, let me build this up so it has some excitement and some character in it. And it's almost like Ben McDonald was tone deaf in that regard when it came to this situation. So Kevin Brown handled that very well. That could have gone haywire in a lot of ways. Well, it kind of did go haywire regardless.
Also, by the way, I just did some Twitter searching. Blake Worry, who was the ESPN NHL college football, NBA, and college basketball broadcast stat department.
Yeah.
Quote tweeted the AA story and said, "How about you just don't say anything at all? We're all a team on the network, and this just does not help anyone involved." Open and close quote.
No, that's good. That's spot on. I mean, like, if you don't have anything, I can't believe I have to say this, but this is like what you tell a third and a 4-year-old when they're learning for the first time. Hey, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Like, seriously.
You know, I'm just tired of that rhetoric that no one cares about certain sports. Like, you know, if no one cared, why would ESPN have signed that deal with the NHL back in 21, for example? I mean, just because that you're not going to watch it doesn't mean that people in those particular markets, New York and Boston, or New York and Pittsburgh, Colorado, LA, and then Chicago and Florida are not going to watch opening night. You know, I don't get, like, why would you even make that remark when you know damn well, you should at least know, your network has a deal in place with this particular sport. Again, I don't like the NFL, but I would never, if I was on that platform, ever say that kind of thing. Like, yeah, I'm not going to watch, but I'm not going to say that publicly on the air going forward. Yes, well, I say it on here, yes, because I don't care for the sport, nor do I watch it, but not when you're employed by CBS or NBC if you were an NFL analyst or a lead host. So, I mean, I thought the remarks were dumb, and it was very much a weird predicament to be put in if you're Jess Mendoza and Kevin Brown. You know, it's a comeback from break commercial.
It's not even a commercial even.
Here's my main thing too. If that was a Monday Night Football promotion, would it have been a totally different response? I think it would have been.
It's tough to know because, again, we don't know what would have happened if that was the situation. But it's promoting your other entities. That's the playoffs, which a lot of people are watching. That's the perfect time to do those entity reads because they're not commercials. They're I forgot what they call them on broadcasts, but
marketing spots,
either marketing spots or just promotional, entity spots where, hey, the NHL opening day is around the corner. Come watch. Because if there's a lot of people watching the MLB playoffs, hey, I can go watch hockey on opening day. I'm in. Like that's what they're going for. There, you're gonna see NBA spots probably come up very soon on a lot of these, whether it's on the WNBA finals or a lot of these other things. Because it's around the corner. But sometimes you gotta, what do they say? Fake it till you make it. Sometimes, and just play along. Don't be an asshole. I
mean, that's all that you really can ask is just, play along, fulfill what you have to do. And if you don't like it, then don't make it public. I get it.
I do. The one thing maybe I'll say Kevin Brown could have done better was just said, hey, are we watching on opening night? Rather than saying, because he kind of put Ben on the spot a little bit. But
True.
At the same time, Ben didn't have to be a jerk about it either.
Yeah.
So there's kind of an A and a B side to it. He should have just did the read and went back to the game. That's because the way that booth was constructed, there was really no hockey in there.
Right.
If you know what I mean. It would have been better if they gave that read to a Sean McDonough who's doing one of the other series because he's doing hockey.
And I'm sure he'll be doing Pittsburgh in New York, or he'll be in Florida for when the Panthers raise their second straight cup banner.
I think he's doing Florida, I think. I saw his schedule, by the way. It was posted somewhere. So he's doing this. Then he has a college football game. And then he's going right to, I think, to do the Florida game for the NHL. Yeah. Same schedule right now. But this is bad.
Yeah, it's bad. Nick, let's take a quick break here as we get to the top of the hour. As we said, though, earlier on in the show, though, Nick, Novig has officially now let us put live odds in the live chat box for the 3 MLB playoff games. Let's have a peek at where things stand right now.
Yes.
Our first game at noon today, we got Cleveland -120 over the Tigers at +118 today.
Yes. So let's talk about Novik. We'll talk about the MLB playoffs, but this show is powered by Novik, America's #1 sports prediction market. Available right now in 35 states, including right here in California for you, Texas, Florida, Georgia, and New York. On Novik, you're 10 times more likely to win long term compared to a traditional sports book because you're playing against real users and not the house. Sign up today and use promo code ETB Network. Your exclusive bonuses. If you put $5 on your account, you'll get $50 in bonus plays. So make sure you join us. 21 years or older, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER if you have an issue with that. But so far, we are enjoying what we're doing with Playback. And this is actually new that Playbot is now putting the odds in there, which is kind of cool.
So Cleveland -120 for today's game, starting in about an hour.
I think the series took a shift again. I do. Even though Detroit won game 1, I think Cleveland winning, I think it took a shift again. I do.
And then, let's see, game 2, pretty much even, San Diego and Chicago.
I don't know, man. I think San Diego has a chance now. The way they won yesterday, I think
Darvish versus Jameson Taillon at 2:00 this afternoon.
I think the bats waking up yesterday is finally what the Padres needed. So hopefully the bats come alive. I hope.
And more importantly, the Cubs have probably expended a lot of their pitching already through 2 games. Padres got Darvish and potentially Michael King, first man out of the bullpen today.
I think the Padres pitching is way more prepared for this game. So I think in the long haul, they could go more.
We'll see what happens at 2:08. And then the other nervous Rex game, Yankees are a slight favorite, -147 over Boston.
Somehow the Yankees managed to win that game yesterday. Somehow. I don't know how. The bullpen tried to blow it again. But here's the irony. They allow Rodon to go out and pitch into the 7th inning, but they don't allow Max Fried in game 1. If they allow Max Fried to pitch in game 1, finish 7th inning, maybe we're talking about a 2-game sweep.
Maybe.
But I don't know. Do I like the Yankees tonight? Maybe. I think they have more pitching. The Red Sox burnt out their bullpen last night. They don't have Crochet. They don't have who's the guy that pitched last night? Threw 50 pitches last night.
Brian Balow?
No, he's the starter out of the bullpen, and it's their best reliever of the Red Sox. I can't remember.
No idea.
They don't have him tonight either. So, and Chapman looked awful in game 1. So I think it's slight, but it's not a lot.
Yeah, and again, I said that, the Cubs used a lot of arms in game 1 and game 2. Imanaga got rocked yesterday for that 2-run homer. So, again, folks, download the Novik app and get started today. Use that promo code ETB Network to get your first $5. After you spend $5, you get 50 back. So go for it and give it a try. Nick, back to the NHL, but ESPN is also repositioning longtime reporter Emily Kaplan from her ringside roles to a new studio-based insider. The network confirmed to FOS that Kaplan, who has been with ESPN since 2017, will now operate in a capacity similar to the network's top insiders like Adam Schefter and Jeff Passan, while she'll still be on-site for major events like opening night, for example, the All-Star Game if there is one, you name it. Her focus will now be on breaking news and providing in-depth analysis for studio programming for ESPN. The move is a recognition of Kaplan's reporting skills and the network's desire to have a dedicated, authoritative voice for their hockey coverage, not named Ben McDonald. So, Nick, what does this change in the role for Kaplan mean for the future of ESPN's NHL coverage? And does it also show a shift in how the network values the on-ground reporting versus insider analysis?
Okay, so my opinion is not going to be the one that probably everyone thinks. I think that they just gave her a title change. I think is what they did.
Sounds like it.
I don't think she's not getting a raise. I bet she's not getting any more benefit out of it. They just said, "Oh, here's a fancy title," so that
ooh, fancy title.
Exactly. I don't get me wrong. I think she's an incredible reporter. She does it well. I think she was doing NFL before she came over to
She was
ESPN.
doing NFL. She was a part of Around the Horn at one point at the very end of it, and then has kind of, sunk her teeth into becoming that person for the NHL. I mean, Greg Wyshynski, Ryan S. Clark, the hockey staff, Nick, at ESPN, since they got the contract back, whether Ben McDonald likes it or not, has been phenomenal since they have got the league back in 2021.
Yeah, I happen to like Wyshynski also, Puck Daddy,
Yeah.
which I think is a questionable nickname. Anyway, but I think everyone's going to look at this and say, "Oh, look, ESPN elevated Emily Kaplan." Stop. I've seen this move before with ESPN many times, and while I'm happy for her if she's going to be more in studio, do less traveling, and that's one benefit if you really want to look at it. I think this is just an elevated title. That's it.
That's all it feels like. Again, if per the FOS report once more, is that she'll be on site for major events. So she'll be there for opening night. I'm guessing she'll be there for the send off for the Olympic break. She'll be there for primetime games, but the focus becomes more of the in-depth analysis for studio programming. So, I wonder what that does look like, Nick, because really, the only hockey talk show, which is, I believe, called Inside the Crease, I believe is what it's called, with Bucci and got
Emily,
Emily Kaplan, Kevin Weeks, and they have a rotating like Blake Bolden, Hillary Knight.
It's like a podcast on TV, essentially.
And I think it's on ESPN2 for half an hour, I think, when the season's underway. So they at least have some kind of in-studio presence. Nothing like NFL Live or NBA Today or whatever, or any of that sort of stuff.
Not the same.
There.
Right. Yeah.
But I think though, Nick, that ESPN probably wants to have I really think so. ESPN probably wants whatever sport they have their hands in. Maybe not baseball now, but the NFL, for example, the NBA and the NHL, they want to have some figurehead or somebody be that lead where they can break the breaking news stories again, like Schefter has for so long, and Jeff Passan, as long as it's going to last, and Shams. Then it was Woj at one point in time where that was maybe a missing ingredient for the NHL. Again, I don't know if that's really the right thing, but at least that they're trying to cover the bases and actually give all the other sports, not only in the NFL, some kind of attention in some way. Again, that might be out of the box thinking. I'm just thinking, though, as somebody who, again, does not care about the NFL, would like to see other sports get the due diligence that it actually deserves on the worldwide leader.
Right. So the reason I think this is a little bit messed up, the way they said this,
they handled it, yes.
Because are they really going to elevate and say, well, here's Emily Kaplan with the ESPN NHL insider Emily Kaplan with some breaking news? I just don't see them doing that. Like you'll see them doing that. How many times is Adam Schefter on TV every single day?
I guarantee you, though, whenever that Connor McDavid new contract does get signed,
yes,
that will be the first major story that she'll break on ESPN.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm just saying, like, how many times have we seen Schefter? How many times have we seen Passan? How many times have we seen Shams? Like, I just don't see them going that way with hockey. And the studio programming is also a little bit of BS because we haven't seen like studio programming really for the NHL. And they have the freaking contract for crying out. You want to know what the studio programming is for the games? It's the Sports Center studio.
Yeah.
When they go to the first intermission, hopefully I'm saying that right.
Yes.
Hey,
he's learning. I love it. He's learning.
So after the first intermission, they go to the Sports Center studio. That's what they do. It's not even a dedicated studio like for the NHL, like for the NFL, like when they're on site and they have a location set up. The NBA, they have the NBA Today studios. Or
NFL obviously has all their studios.
Or back in the day when MLB had the Baseball Tonight. Like, there's nothing dedicated to the NHL. So for them to say that she's going to provide in-depth to ESPN studio program, it just doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't, because I believe that the Inside the Crease show is a ESPN Plus program that they happen to slap on ESPN2.
Elevate. Yeah.
They elevate it, and it's only a half-hour show.
How long is the actual show? Do you know?
I think it's only half an hour.
Oh, so it's. I thought maybe like they took part of it, but that wouldn't make sense because if it's going to air on ESPN2,
No, I think that show that Kaplan's a part of is only half an hour.
See that goes to my point that they, even though they got the deal with the NHL, they don't trust it enough.
They're still missing the plot.
Right, they're missing the plot. They're missing the vehicle that goes along. Like a story we're going to talk about very shortly. Back again in the WNBA, we're going to talk about how they have full studio going. The NHL, I don't see it. Why don't they have their NHL guys doing a pre and post show? And what's his name? Who I happen to like because he called out Stephen A. PK Subban. What now? They put him next to Steve Levy in the SportsCenter studio, and it's like very clunky. It's not really a pre-show. It's kind of like
you've got three guys over a small table between Levy, Mark Messier, and then Subban.
Those are like two big names in the sport, and you can't do a fucking pre-show like that's dedicated to the NHL. Like, by the way, this is coming from someone who doesn't watch the NHL all the time. That's saying,
and more importantly, too, before we move on, Nick, as well. Think about when they have Frozen Frenzy coming up in a few weeks.
I kind of like that they do that, by the way.
But all it is it's Booch and Kevin Weeks sitting in two studio chairs with a coffee pot next to them, and that's it. That's all that they do the whole night.
That's messed up. It's messed up because look what they do on NFL Red Zone, which, by the way, is going to be an ESPN entity very soon.
Make it stop.
Now, clear. It's just that they're taking over the rights. They don't control any of it. But neither here nor there. But my point is, look at what Scott Hansen does for a full Red Zone. Like that constantly moving
and grooving. He's all over the place. You name it.
Why are we not allowing Bucci and Kevin Weeks, and you could even put Emily Kaplan in there a little bit? Yeah. Like, do something different. Allow it, because if it works, people will come to it and stick to it. Like, even though ESPN said, "Oh, we want the NHL back,"
did you really want him back with how things are going?
You're not doing anything to say, "How do I get people who are not necessarily hockey fans that want to know more?" That's the category kind of where I am right now, where I'm not a hockey fan, but if you drag me in somehow to watch, I would come watch more of it. But there's nothing that ESPN is doing to say, "Hey, I'm spotlighting these people. I'm spotlighting this product. Let me go watch." I'd rather go watch on TNT.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, like whoever does because Inside the NBA, I love the pre-show that they do for the NHL on TNT.
And they have a dedicated studio for it.
That's the point I'm trying to get at. Like that ESPN would rather just take their hockey people, throw them in a closet room.
Yeah. Broom closet.
And say, "All right, do a pre-show."
Oh, okay.
That doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Nick, speaking of ESPN, just a few months after Around the Horn ended its run, its former host, Tony Reali, has now announced his next move, a daily Substack called I Love Everything About This. And his announcement made over the course of this week, Reali explained that the newsletter will be a daily drop of positivity with short bursts of content that remind us why sports and life are worth loving. The move from a broadcast TV network to host from a broadcast TV host to a DTC platform is the latest example of on-air talent like Reali leveraging their personal branding to create their own media business. So, Nick, with Tony launching the Substack, is this the start of a trend where more prominent sports figures like himself bypass legacy media like ESPN to create their own content directly for their fans? I think, Nick, you and I are both kind of puzzled about this move by Mr. Reali.
Well, you and I did read reports afterwards that he still wants to get back into sports television and wants to be there. I'm surprised that nothing's happened yet, to be quite honest. Like,
the show went off the air in May, so it's been 5 months since he's been out of a job.
Well, and his deal officially ended at the end of August. So he probably had to wait for the deal. But I did read to you that there was no non-compete. So he could have started whenever, as soon as the
Right.
deal was up. Now, those take a long time to go from a company to iron out all those details. But
Hi, Columba. Well, as you wait for Nick to get back on here again, as a reminder that yeah, Tony Reale again, folks, launching a Substack. Now, I did subscribe to it, and it's a little different that he's doing. Like, there's blog pieces, there's a newsletter, there are like short video clips. I'm guessing. I haven't really gotten a chance to look through it though, but it's a very interesting move, as Nick was saying though. Before we got dropped here in the middle of the program for the second time today, is it's something that I think Reale always brought though to Around the Horn, was that, there's something to love though about sports and life and worth loving. And obviously Tony had, been very public about some personal things that he, and his wife were dealing with at one point in time during his time hosting Around the Horn, whether it was, pregnancy problems or stuff at home was going on. And he was always open and honest about that. And I would recall though, when the show would go off the air, that he would take time to go on Twitter and respond to fans. Like he would do and Ask Me Anything. He would do a lot of different things. And he would, and I think a lot of parents or, people that are parents of young children or that have gone through issues with becoming pregnant, they would ask him about his, advice, and he would, write numerous styles of, responses to them. As I think Nick is back finally.
I'm here.
I don't know what happened here, but I guess Nick, you can continue your thoughts now about your thoughts about the new Substack for Mr. Reale.
Yeah, so it's weird because I don't understand. Oh, I shouldn't say I don't understand. It's an interesting choice because you would think he's trying to get back into television, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
And I think there's going to be something in the future that, whether it's Fox, whether it's he's not going to go back to ESPN. I think that's been made quite clear.
Yeah.
I think it'll be Fox or some kind of digital network that takes it over. But it's interesting. By the way, it's a free Substack in case people are wondering.
Yes.
So obviously he's doing this, I guess, to rebuild the platform. But I don't know. It's very, like, he's a positive person. That's that's his mantra in life. And you know what? Sometimes you need more positivity in life. We don't get it enough.
No, we don't. And I think that's what I was kind of getting at, Nick, to fill the time while we were, trying to get back in here for the second time in the program, is just about, that I remember though that whenever Around the Horn would go off the air for the day, and Tony would have that time before he would have to go on PTI at the, at certain points in time, he would take the time to respond to viewers of the show who maybe they were having, some issues with, because I recall, Nick, I think that Tony was very open. I think that him and his wife were maybe having some problems with their kids. I don't recall if there was like some issues with her getting pregnant or whatever, but that he would really open up to people about being vulnerable. I think, though, Nick, that the final sign-off, though, was also a very touching thing about what he had said, though, when the show went off the air. But this is a very interesting avenue, and I'm going to be eager to see, though, how this does play out, though, over the next several months.
Yeah, he'll end up somewhere. He's too talented not to be somewhere, and we'll see what happens.
We will, but it's free if you want to check it out. Again, just go to Substack and search for Tony Reale and go from there. So, I mean, he launched the website the day after the day of Around the Horn going off the air. They had that first kind of like video live stream with some of the panelists that were on the show that day. They've been kind of doing those like sporadically, not as often as we thought they would be doing those. Nothing quite like what Stan Verrett and Neil Everett have or had launched over the course of their time on Twitch over the past couple of weeks. So if you want to check it out again, you can find Tony Reale's new Substack on Substack. And again, just search for his name, Tony Reale. Nick, back to the NHL once more. And this is a very interesting, touchy subject here, though. But the Vegas Golden Knights have stripped a reporter named Mark Lazarus of his credentials after he asked a question about goaltender Carter Hart and the other 4 acquitted Hockey Canada players who were acquitted of a potential gang sexual assault from 2018. Lazarus, who writes for The Athletic, has covered the stories extensively, asked Golden Knights defenseman Noah Hanifin about the chance or possibly playing with a teammate who was accused of sexual assault and misconduct. The VGK claimed, though, that the question was an ambush during a group interview, but Lazarus has disputed that claim, saying in part that the question was respectful and that Hanifin answered it in a calm and professional manner. The incident has reignited a debate, though, about the relationship between teams and the press, especially when it comes to sensitive and controversial topics. So, Nick, does a sports organization have the right to revoke a reporter's credentials for asking a sensitive but relevant question, or is this a clear case of an organization attempting to control the narrative of the franchise's morals, in your opinion?
This is a rare situation where I think both answers could be correct, actually, here. And I think that looking at this scenario, now, you know the NHL world a little bit better than me when it comes to the hockey reporters and their sensitivity of asking certain questions or asking certain touchy subjects. But asking about Carter Hart and the other 4 acquitted hockey players, I do see that as a sensitive subject that maybe the team doesn't want it out there in the media or in digital where it could get circulated. And maybe that's part of the problem. What do you think?
These topics are always tough, I think, for a franchise to handle. Now, this also, though, Nick, in a follow-up, Mark Lazarus also went to the Carolina Hurricanes. I think same week that he went to Vegas and asked about the Knights' involvement with these players. Now, Carolina has been linked to 2 players, both Carter Hart, the goaltender who played for Philadelphia, and Michael McLeod. And Lazarus got 2 different styles of a response from the organization. Carolina, Nick, had no problem per his reporting of him asking the question about how would you feel about this being a thing. I don't know what Vegas's problem is here, though. But I'd still think, though, Nick, even though that this is a very touchy subject, I'm totally aware of it. I also know that there was a story that Jen and myself are going to talk about, and we did not get a chance to do so on Puck Talk a couple of weeks ago, that some Hurricane fans, after hearing the report that they were going to potentially sign Michael McLeod, they were not going to renew season tickets for the franchise because of what the franchise may have done, though. For a franchise, but I just wonder, though, Nick, more importantly, is that you at least need to let the reporters do their job. Though you may not like the question, the tone, whatever it might be, it still needs to be asked. And yes, I am of the agreement, though, that subjects like this aren't easy for players to talk about. Because Nick, we know very well, they may play on different teams, but these guys train together, they play golf together, they work out together, they're in other players' wedding parties. They're on the road together for 82 games, 84 next season. So I still think, though, that we're losing a little bit of journalistic integrity when we don't let reporters fulfilled their obligations to fill their notebooks or their quota. And if it's a burning question, Nick, and Sally, Nick, this will be a question for the remainder of the season. Because as of yesterday, the players that were acquitted were allowed to begin to sign contracts. No one touched them, as of yesterday. So this is going to be a story, though, that's going to be, whether teams like it or not, this is going to be a story that we're going to be watching. You and I will watch, Jen and I will watch over the course of the season. But at the end of the day, though, to strip a reporter's credentials for a simple question, whether or not it's a good question or a sensitive question, we can't do with stuff to people trying to report on what's going on in the league and with this organization.
Right. I mean, looking at this and looking how this situation goes, it's like I was starting to say, it's a sensitive, touchy subject.
Which I totally understand that it is for any organization. But to have to try to corral this thing. But to your point,
I think that you got to be careful when it comes to freedom of speech, and if it's, what is that legality they use all the time? If it's newsworthy, you can discuss it. So if it's news, you can't violate someone's rights of asking a question. So that's the problem you have, where you're like, are you allowed to discuss it? Are you not allowed to discuss it? Is it a legal thing? Is it not a legal thing? Now, that could be part of the problem. That it's still being
sorted out.
Right, processed in the legal system. So should you really be asking a question about it? Probably not.
Yeah, I think, Nick, what one point we're both missing, and this just came to me. Noah Hannafin's response was a telling sign. He didn't snap. He didn't say next question, didn't pull a Jazz Chisholm and turn his back to Mark Lazarus. He answered the question in a calm, professional manner, whatever the quote was. But per the reporting given by Mark Lazarus, he was calm about it, professional about it. It wasn't something like Ryan Leaf blowing up at Jay Posner after he had a bad game saying, knock it off. It wasn't Jazz Chisholm responding to the New York media after game one with his back turned looking through his locker's closet. It wasn't Shedeur Sanders mouthing response about being named QB3 behind Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco for the Browns' upcoming game. This was handled like any hockey player would handle it. They're up front. They're calm. They're professional about it. And it wasn't with any sort of antics like Leaf, Jazz, or Shedeur Sanders.
Right. I don't know. This is just, it's kind of, again, a little bit of uncharted territory, a little bit with this story. And when stuff is uncharted, you're better off erring on the caution of waiting until the information actually comes out. So that way you could do an accurate question or an accurate report when you're talking about something. So I get where the team is coming from, that they don't want to discuss it. Did you really have to pull credentials? Could you have maybe said, hey, next time, maybe just let us know if you're going to ask that question? Now, people are, but Nick, the media doesn't have to give their questions on a sensitive subject like that. You might not have a choice.
You might not have a choice, and I definitely agree with that. At the rate that we're going, is, where is that fine line between being a bit oversensitive over a topic or trying to sweep things underneath the rug that no one knows about yet? And we'll see where it goes. I also believe that Mark Lazarus also was told what was actually, I think, lost in the shuffle. After that question, he was told to leave the facility, and his credential for the game that night was also stripped and canceled after that question got asked, per reports.
See, here's the thing too, which like you and I were discussing this topic and like, should it be discussed on a ton of shows? Not just here. I'm saying like everywhere. We were talking about that. Like, is it something that needs to be discussed over and over again?
No.
And in my opinion, the answer is no, because you're beating a dead horse a million times by discussing this story a million times. There's no acquittal yet in this story. So until we have what the official situation is, there's really no need to discuss this story a million times, because until we know what's going to happen with these players, like, we can't do anything with the story. You just can't. From a media business perspective, and that's why Vegas probably made a little bit of a brash decision to say, hey, if you're not going to follow our rules when we talk about a story, then maybe you don't deserve to be here. That's what I think they did. I don't know if I can't tell you. I'm not in the front office for the Golden Knights, but they probably said, we need to make what do they say? Like, when someone does something dumb, you want to make a example out of them.
An example of them, yes.
So if we say, look, we're pulling his credential, maybe they won't. No one else. It was over exaggerated and a brash move. I agree, 1,000%. But maybe you just say, come on, man, we'll give you one warning, and if you do it again, then
you're out of here.
Like, we'll say this one is on us, but what is that dumb saying? Like, first time is on you, but the second time is
fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you.
Right. So if you do it twice, shame on you. That's on you. But freedom of speech, that you can talk about freedom of speech for years, and you'll get people on both sides of that debate.
All right, Nick, let's get to the rare bottom of the hour break, because we have an update from Novig that the odds have changed for the 3 MLB playoff games today.
Okay.
Cleveland is now minus 120. Cubs now minus 106. Yanks minus 144. Tigers plus 119. Pods 105. Red Sox plus 142. But Nick, go and tell the good folks about Novig.
This show is powered by Novig, America's #1 sports prediction market. Available right now in 35 states, including near you in California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, and here in New York. On Novig, you're 10 times more likely to win long-term compared to a traditional sports book, because you're playing against real users and not the house.
Hey.
So sign up today and use promo code ETB Network, ETBNETWORK, for exclusive bonuses. If you put $5 on your app, you will get $50 in bonus plays. It's not like some of the other apps where you have to win your bet sometimes to get your bonus plays. This, you get your bonus plays just for putting $5 on your app and making a play on any game, win or loss, and you get $50 of bonus plays. You must be 21 years or older to participate. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, and let's have a good time.
Let's have a good time. Here's a look at what their website looks like at novig.us. And there are the odds for the 3 playoff games for today in Major League Baseball.
Wow. So they moved the line. Make sure. Did they just totally move the line completely? Per
my phone app, they did, yes.
So now they're saying, what does that say? Detroit plus 1.5?
Detroit plus 118. Cleveland minus 120, San Diego plus 105, Cubs minus 106, Red Sox plus 143, Yankees minus 145 on the money lines.
Yeah, so I think Cleveland's going to win today. I think they just twisted the series again. I don't know. I think the Padres took momentum. What do you think?
We'll go with it.
Trying to take bias out of that last pick. I think the Red Sox bullpen is in a little bit of trouble because of the way they pitched last night. So I'm going to say Yankees, but I think it's going to be like a wild finish some way. So we have Yankees, Padres, and Cleveland. And then was that? It says $5 for five.
Total payout is $27.93 for a $5 play.
We came close on the last one.
We did.
You've been doing good so far on these plays.
Yeah, I blew it, sadly, on MLS a couple days ago, which didn't help the cause.
Uh-oh.
But, I mean, we're still sitting pretty.
So that's our play for today. We'll check back in on it after today. We'll post it if it hits. Johnny Montalbano, our TFB host, actually hit on a Yankee Red Sox one.
A lot of over-unders on total bases, it looked like.
Let's see if I can find it really quick while I scroll. Here it is. Okay, so Johnny did a coins play the other day for the Yankees Red Sox. So it was 100 Novik coins, and the 4-pick parlay paid out 2,439 coins.
Nice.
It was Trevor Story over 1.5 bases, Alex Bregman over 1.5 bases, Paul Goldschmidt over 1.5 bases, and Aaron Judge over 1.5 bases. How often do you see total bases for 4 players hit?
Not often.
So 100 Novik coins for 2,439 Novik coins. That's quite a hit right there.
So again, folks, Novik.us or download the app and get started today. Use that promo code ETB Network and get playing today. Nick, back to the WNBA. Yikes. The WNBA officially, though, Nick, somehow, some way, inked a new media right deal with USA TV for 50 games per season with coverage of the finals and playoffs in select years, including a full hour-long pregame and postgame show. The new multi-year deal will run through 2036 as another sign of the league's expanding media footprint and its commitment to being a league that can be watched on multiple platforms. The new deal is also a big win for the league, especially after the season saw the league's ratings on TV and viewership numbers continue to rise, even with the threat of the upcoming lockout looming. But, Nick, what does the 50-game deal with the USA Network mean for the league's continued growth? And does it show that the league is in a better position than ever to compete with other major sports leagues on television, finally, in your mind?
I'm going to take the last part of that question first, because you said, does it show that the league's in a better position? First of all, I don't think the league is in any positive position right now. The other issue I have is, well, it's great that they found a network. Are they going to do WNBA national broadcast teams?
Correct.
I don't want to see Ion again. I don't want to see where they're taking all the local broadcasts and basically just shoving them onto a national platform.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that does a partial disservice to the product, because you're going to get hometown announcers, but it's on a national platform. You and I have had that discussion many times where you're getting homer broadcasts. You can't do that on a national platform at all. So while I love it, and USA Network, which by the way is another strange platform for sports, to be on. What was WWE was on USA?
WWE, the English Premier League for soccer, is on USA. If it's not being shown on NBC.
I just think that's an odd platform for the WNBA again, like Ion, and I forgot the other one it was on also. But 50 games is a lot, by the way. So they're going to do a pre and post show, network pre and post, which is nice, but now you got to fill those studio shows. So, and who are you getting to do play-by-play in color? I don't want to see them just slap games onto there. That's a cheap product.
That's what it feels like to me with this deal. And more importantly, why are you even bothering worrying about anything beyond October 31st? I mean, this should not be a priority of this league right now, as we spent 45 minutes to start today's program hearing about Naphessa Collier, or hearing from Collier about leadership and all that stuff that we heard, though. So why right now would the league want to take a risk or a gamble on a media right deal when there's no certainty that there's even going to be a season in 29 days once the year concludes and once the deadline for the lockout comes and goes?
I think part of it has to do with, like, you can't have nothing. And so these deals are prepped like months and years in advance. So it's tough to say oh, well, we shouldn't do anything because there's a lockout. Like, again, I guess technically we still have 29 days but I think the WNBA is royally.
Yeah.
And so what happens to those deals, though? Because if there's a lockout, does that like put a delay clock on when they start?
I'm wondering the same thing, especially if the lockout, as we are projecting, Nick, and we both, agree, this could take, to quote Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, days, weeks, months. Who knows how long that this lockout might actually take? Will this be like, Nick, the last thing we want to see that I'm fearful of, even more, I think, now after Collier's remarks over the last 3 days.
Right.
What if there's no season next year? What if the lockout wipes out a full season? Which, again, will go to what I have said, though, on this program and on this platform the last several months. If this league locks itself out and misses all of next season, any kind of positive growth, positive news, any kind of positive talking points about the WNBA can go right down the porcelain throne and down to the river, because that right there throws away any kind of great publicity that has come the way of this league after them scratching and clawing and trying their best to get recognized. Now they're going to get recognized, Nick, for stuff like this happening if a full season is wiped off the air. And more importantly, losing that NBC money and the Prime Video money, this USA money. I mean, this is disaster waiting to happen for this league.
Well, I want to read a statement from Alexa Philippou, because she got a statement from Sophie about an hour ago.
Okay.
Quote, "There's a potential lockout. I promise you we aren't going to play until they give us what we deserve. That's kind of where it's headed, unfortunately, which would be the dumbest basketball decision business-wise ever, considering the momentum the W has."
Thank you.
So, to be honest, I think this is a foregone conclusion. I don't see there being a 11th hour deal.
No.
There's not
going to be no 11th hour thing. There's going to be no Miracle on 34th Street or any of that sort of thing happening. I mean,
this is not Major League Baseball, where they do a deal at the last second and they only lose like 20 games as opposed to a whole season. Like, we're going to experience something that you and I have never seen, because the last time
with this particular league, yeah.
No, but I'm talking about like official lockout, like. Because
baseball in 22, the NBA had one in 2011. I think the NFL had one in the preseason, and then obviously in 94 when baseball missed the last 2 months of the season.
Well, baseball ended up losing a full season, didn't they, at one point because of the strike? But this is like real, what we're seeing here, which is disagreements between the front office of the WNBA and the players. And unfortunately, the players have more power in this situation than the WNBA does.
And they've got more power and leverage now after Collier went scorched earth a couple days ago.
But for Sophie to come out and say that there's a potential lockout, well, which we already knew, but I promise you we aren't going to play until we get what we deserve. I believe it. Because a lot of times players, like when the MLB shit happened, like a lot of players will speak out of the left side of their you-know-whats just to make a point. This is real. Like, this is, first of all, do you really think the WNBA players were born yesterday? They were wearing the "Pay Us What You Owe Us" shirts. Like, they're They knew that when they went on TV, they knew what they were doing when they made that statement. So this is a problem. I think we might miss a full season of the WNBA the way this goes.
I'm thinking half season, if not a full year, too. I really think so.
And that is going to force Unrivaled to take the stage. Because if Unrivaled takes the stage for a full year, watch out at WNBA.
And you know, Nick, to further stick the knife in deeper for the WNBA, imagine Unrivaled makes the same damn T-shirt in Unrivaled colors, and they wear them for pregame warmups as like a direct other shot across the bow to the WNBA.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I can see that happening from a mile away.
I could also see them expanding the Unrivaled season past 3 months
Agreed.
at some point. Because, one, they're paying more. And I think if you add more will come. If you expand the season, I could see them adding more teams eventually. I could see them going full, like, takeover once a lockout gets announced. And they say, all right, Unrivaled's going to announce another 4 to 6 teams. Now, they're going to have to expand past, Miami, I think, where they play a lot of the games.
Yeah.
They're going to have to open that up more.
It may have to become like the big three and they go on a tour now and start playing games.
But if you have all the big names, then it shouldn't matter where you go.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, if WNBA goes on a lockout, you could almost say goodbye to the WNBA at that point, because Unrivaled is going to kick your ass to the curb because they could offer more money and more attention and ownership.
29 days is all I can say. We'll keep an eye on that. Nick, in the NFL, in a recent statement made by Commissioner Roger Goodell, he said that the league's goal is to now expand the international footprint of American football further to the point where they are playing 16 games a season outside the U.S. The commissioner's office believes that every team should have the chance to play at least one game internationally per season. The league already has announced their intention to play a game in Australia next season and now is looking at Asia and other continents in the future. So, Nick, while international expansion is a priority for the NFL, is that it's now aiming for 16 international games per season, it is an ambitious goal. But though, Nick, could that goal, though, potentially wear down players and teams and even dilute the regular season?
Yeah. I thought it was cool. You'd get a couple, 2 to 3 international games a year. You go to London, you go to Mexico, and then maybe Australia. But now it's becoming like way too much. You went to Berlin. I have to look this up. Sao Paulo. I'm going to see if I can look this up.
Germany, the UK, Mexico City, Brazil, London.
Let's see.
I remember the days. I do remember the days I used to actually care about the NFL where it was only London, and that was it.
You got like 2 games a year or 3 games, depending, in London. And it was mostly the Jaguars because they're the ones that needed the most attention. And actually, the Jets are going to London, I think, in the next week or 2.
No, have fun with that game.
Either getting up at 9 a.m. But let's see. So there will be
6 a.m. West Coast time there, my friend.
Yeah. There'll be a record 7 NFL international games for this season, played across 5 countries: London, Sao Paulo, Berlin, Madrid, and Dublin, which we saw this past week. Too many. Too many. Too many. First of all, the time zones are a nightmare to watch the games. I think London is 5 hours behind most of us. Let's see. Because the game starts at 9, and then it would start at like 3 or 4 p.m.
London is 8 hours ahead of the Pacific time zone, so it's 7:48 p.m. in the evening back there right now.
Crazy. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to do international expansion, Roger, where, we already take enough money from people. Let's just make it even more difficult for fans to watch. But we'll make more money doing it because there's more international fans watching. I mean, I get it. Is it interesting? First of all, those games are shitty most of the time because how often do you go playing overseas? You don't.
Can I say that the only game that they've gotten right so far was Chargers Chiefs in Sao Paulo week 1?
Yes and no, because they got to stop with the stupid, fake Super Bowl halftime entertainment show that they do during each international game. It's not the Super Bowl. Leave that for the Super Bowl. That's the whole point of having a halftime show, was for the Super Bowl. Which, by the way, I think they goofed on who they picked for the halftime show for the Super Bowl. They picked Bad Bunny to be the halftime. Can we go back to real, authentic halftime shows, please? Where you would get the big names. Maybe I'm naive. I don't know Bad Bunny well. I know he's a rapper, but that's it.
He's from Puerto Rico.
Oh, is he? Is that why they did it?
He's from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
The game's gonna be in Northern California.
I guess that makes sense. But I don't know. Too many international games. It's the whole point of it's American football. Why are we are they trying to be soccer? Because that's what it feels like to me. A little.
Maybe. I mean, I'm all for a sport like baseball and American football and hockey going overseas if it's done the right way. When I say that, I mean baseball can't go to Japan and Korea every year or Mexico. The game is already popular enough there as is. London, Ireland, South Africa, I don't know where else, places where baseball is not a common thing. I think going to London when they had the Phillies play the Mets, I thought that was well done. I mean, yes, are the games high scoring because they're playing in soccer stadiums or in Olympic stadiums that weren't built for baseball? Sure.
There are home runs left and right.
But what do you think a new, a casual baseball fan in London or England for that matter, or Ireland, wherever you go, and they have, maybe watch games on TV, but they get to experience it for the first time ever. And they're watching home run, home run, home run. Who would not, obviously enjoy that? And even, hockey has gone to Japan. They've gone to Australia. They've gone to different places to grow a foreign game like that over in overseas markets. Again, I thought it was nice when it was a one-off, though, with 1 or 2 or 3 games in London. And now I think we're trying. I feel like, Nick, what the problem here, though, is the NFL is trying too damn hard, I think, to make certain countries and cities become forcing fandom on certain cities. I think that there's a deal with the Chiefs in Frankfurt, Germany, I think, or Berlin. Dublin is a big Steelers, big Steelers place. That part I don't quite understand. Why is the league kind of dictating what cities can become fans of certain NFL franchises? I recall seeing that story though. But I mean, 16 to me just sounds it sounds like nearly every single week there's going to be a team playing overseas, and I think that we talked about it though too. Maybe I did a while back when I wasn't here. That Chargers season seat holders sued the franchise and the league for false advertising about home games. And oh wait, by the way, your first home game of the year is in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, that's bad. If you're a season ticket holder, you should get that money back if your team is international. I don't give a crap what the reason is. That's not on you as a fan. That was the league who chose to make the game international, not the fans. You're a greedy pig as a commissioner that chose to put games internationally. So give the fans their money back if they got a season ticket, or they have season tickets. You think most fans are going to travel overseas?
Hell no.
No. So give them the money back they deserve for the seat they were supposed to get. I can't believe you had to sue for it.
Yeah, I think that falls on the NFL itself when they do that release of the international games, and it's so last minute. If you give, trust me, Nick, if you give fans enough time of advance notice, saying, "Hey, Nick, the Jets will be in London to play New England at Wembley Stadium next season. You've got from October 2nd until next year to get all the finances in order, get the plane tickets, get the hotel, go pick your sites to go sightsee, yada, yada, yada. Not when you drop it like a month before they go overseas, like the NFL did with the international games, if you ask me.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if you get season tickets and you're not told in advance that your team is going to Brazil or to Mexico or to Dublin or anywhere, the team's got to eat that. Or actually, better yet, I shouldn't even say it's the team's fault either. The NFL needs to eat that because it's the NFL who decides the scheduling, not the teams. So if they decide what the international games are going to be, it's the NFL brass that needs to say, we're making this choice. Oh, shit, we got to pay back our season ticket holders because they can't afford to go or they don't want to travel because it's too far away.
You got to do something. Nick, next topic here before we get to the top of the hour. On a recent telecast of TNF on Amazon Prime Video's pregame show, the panel had been debating heavily whether or not Russell Wilson's career has played him out of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Discussion was sparked by Wilson's benching by the Giants after the team began the year 0-3, and in place, Jackson Dart led them to their first win of the year over the Chargers last week. Analyst and Wilson's former teammate Richard Sherman was particularly candid, but defended Wilson while also pointing out that his success, though, was tied to Sherman's Legion of Boom era defense in Seattle with the Seahawks. Richard's commentary reignites a long-standing debate, though, about Wilson's legacy and whether his personal talent can be separated from the elite teams he played on. So, Nick, does Richard Sherman's commentary of his former quarterback give a fair assessment of Russell Wilson's career, though, or is it also a simplification of a complex legacy? Nick, my main question is simple as this. Why is it only that Russell Wilson faces so much goddamn freaking scrutiny from the media in the NFL?
I want to say something first before I answer that. This is another stupid debate over, the defense won and not the offense. I hate these arguments every single time. Well, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have won a Super Bowl. Guys, winning a Super Bowl takes every single player on the goddamn roster for crying out loud. And for Richard Sherman, well, first of all, we all know Richard Sherman is a little cuckoo, crazy.
Just, what I think back to is that post-game presser he gave to Aaron Andrews after he broke up the pass to Michael Crabtree when they beat San Fran to go to the Super Bowl that year.
I mean, the guy doesn't care. Like, remember, I don't know if we did a story on it, or it might have been years ago before you were here, when he had that incident with the Ring doorbell thing or something. I think that was him. I'm going to look that up really fast, but he had an incident. Was it with his wife? Yes, he had a DUI arrest in 24. And then he was charged with a gross misdemeanor DUI in June of 25. So he has recent incidents. And then in 2021, a 911 call from Sherman's wife reported him as drunk and belligerent and threatening suicide after a confrontation with his family. I don't know if you remember that incident.
I remember it vaguely, yes.
And so he had a drinking problem. So he's a little crazy, to say the least. But I hate these. I hate these debates of, well, it's our Legion of Boom defense that won the title. You need a quarterback to win. Sorry.
The main gripe I just have, though, is why is it that there needs to be one particular quarterback or one player in any sport who's always underneath the damn microscope or the magnifying glass?
First of all, I think he's had a pretty good career. Number one, he won a Super Bowl.
He's got some, Super Bowl. He was reliable. He's obviously won a ring. Should have been two if it was a different play call against the Patriots. But I that's the only thing I don't understand is why are we so quick, Morgeson, to always have and try to castrate a player based off of their career? Like, why is it always Machado in baseball? Because, it was one bad slide that broke the leg of Dustin Pedroia, or him stepping on Jesus Aguilar's foot in the NLCS. Like that, like all that overshadows the numbers and overshadows, he's now the Padres all-time home run record holder. Obviously, we have LeBron in the NBA. That's one thing too. But why, though, are we so quick, though, Nick, in my opinion, to always single out one particular player when it's a team sport? Like, I know, yes, even I know that Russ is on his last legs, and his production has just tanked since he left Seattle after that one Super Bowl loss to the Patriots, though. Obviously, Broncos Country Let's Ride was a disaster with Sean Payton last season. Even I know that. This year has not been great with the New York Football Giants. He obviously got benched for Jackson Dart, and they beat the Chargers. But, Nick, I just don't like this whole thing that we always have to pick one person that becomes, the piñata at someone's birthday party because of how they're playing on the field at the very maybe tail end of their career.
I mean, I think this is a problem across whether you're a rookie or a veteran or close to retirement. I think we live in and unfortunately, you can thank Stephen A. and Skip Bayless for this mostly, but
such a hot take or a debate sort of.
First Take kind of destroyed how we think about athletes and how we, instead of saying let's have a discussion, just the different D word got in the way, debate over discussion. Now you have copycat artists out there. And unfortunately, instead of saying, let's put out a good video about a story or let's have a discussion over something that maybe was controversial, it's now fire. Like everyone's just spitting fire out of their mouth.
Shots fired.
Exactly. And that's kind of what we live in, a hot take debate society now, where everything is put under a microscope. And if you don't win, then you're a failure. Like that's kind of where we've landed on. And think about some of the athletes of today. Before LeBron won a title, he was the most scrutinized player, even though he's going to be the next Michael Jordan, blah, 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 blah.
And that was even when he was in high school, as we've said several times on the show.
Right. So once he won a title, what happened? The scrutiny kind of died down. It's never going to fully die down because he thought he was going to be the next Michael Jordan, the best player of all time, which never happened. But the Russell Wilson thing is dumb, partially because...
To use one of your lines, Nick, it's a rainy day argument to have on a talk show.
It is. It's a rainy day argument. Russell Wilson's won a Super Bowl. Most quarterbacks can't say they've won a Super Bowl that enter the league.
Dan Fouts.
Right. There's plenty of them. You could go on and on. Right. So I think winning a Super Bowl is a success as a quarterback. Go ask Joe Flacco, who won a title with Baltimore, managed to get one more large contract, and he led the Colts while they were going through their situation. Now with the Browns, like when you win one, you've done something. Okay? And I don't want to hear shit about Richard Sherman. Well, it was largely tied to the Legion of Boom. Don't get me wrong. That defense was one of the more dominating defenses of all time. It was never getting beat. Ever.
Great.
But to say it's mostly tied to the Legion of Boom, sorry, if they didn't have a quarterback, they wouldn't have won a Super Bowl. It's a quarterback-driven league. And it will always be a quarterback-driven league. Always.
Always and forever.
So Richard Sherman's got to take a deep breath.
Nick, let's stay in the NFL, though. But the debate over a tie in the NFL has been reignited after a very epic game on SNF last week, as Green Bay and Dallas tied at 40 apiece, marking the first tie in 3 seasons. Now, while ties are rare in the NFL, they are a source of frustration for many fans who feel that a professional football game should not end without a clear winner. Some have called for the NFL to adopt the college football overtime rules to ensure that every game has a clear winner, while others argue that ties are part of the game and should remain in place. The debate also highlights the different philosophies on how to handle an outcome that is uncommon in most major American sports not named MLS. So, Nick, yet again, is it time for the NFL to adopt a new overtime format to ensure that every game has a clear winner, in your opinion?
Yes, like big time. Like not even... I jokingly said this to you before the show. I don't know if you remember, but I said hockey beat the NFL on something here. Like,
by going to the shootout to end a regular season game and not play for the tie.
I remember still, because my memory is still good. Like I almost have like a photographic memory, but I remember way back when the ties rule, because all the NHL records, it was WLT, win, loss, tie, before they changed all the rules. And I remember looking at the records, and I said, this is dopey. Like having a 3-record thing where you have win, loss, tie. And I remember it was causing a lot of issues with the standings, the ties.
By the way, 20 years ago is when the NHL stopped doing ties, 2005, 2006.
Has it really been that long?
20 years.
But I just remember it caused a lot of issues with the points, if I remember, because of the ties.
They would play overtime, and if no one won in the overtime period, game ended in a tie.
Right, and then like the point systems would get screwed up, and people were, well, I should have gotten a point for this, and I should, because I think each team got a point for overtime, right?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah,
so,
both teams get a point for getting to overtime. It's a matter of if you win, you get the 2 points for winning the game. The loser still gets their 1 point in the standings.
See, and that's what confused me big time because of the ties. Like, you just take the ties out, go do a shootout. Whoever wins it all at that point, right? Is that how that works or no?
Yeah. So it would be play the overtime, then go to a shootout.
But I'm saying, so if they don't win in overtime, do they still each get a point for overtime or no?
Yes.
See, that's where I like the disconnect is for me partially, because like when you play Major League Baseball games, you don't get points for going to extra innings.
No. It's either you win or you lose, and it's either you gain the game or you lose the game in the standings.
And that's what the NHL should be doing. Why are we giving points for just making it to overtime? That's not fair. What happens if a team plays 20 overtime games during the year? Isn't that's an advantage, wouldn't it be, in a sense?
Only if they win. If they keep losing, like if they go like, I don't know, 40, I'm trying to think, like, 40, 22, and 20, if that's even right. I mean, that's 42 times 2, then 20 times 1. It's still like 60. I don't know. I'm not good at quick math, but
right. But my point is that if you play overtime games, you're guaranteed a point. Is what I'm getting at.
Exactly, you are.
So I'm saying they need to throw that out. Like, it's either you win or you lose, and that's it. These extra points for overtime make no sense in the sport.
And I know that they only do it for tie-breaking reasons when the standings get to the very end of the season, is how, like the Calgary Flames, as, Jen and I talked about with Emma Miller weeks ago on Puck Talk, that the Calgary Flames missed out on a tiebreaker because they did not have a certain number of points in either because they do a regular win, then they have row, which is regulation and overtime wins to further try to break these ties. That's how they missed out on a playoff spot last year. But Nick, regardless, in the NFL at least, though, this is very much this is uncharted territory. I recall the most infamous tie for me, though, was Seattle, Arizona, where both kickers missed field goals, and it was doink, doink, miss, wide left, wide right game, and then a 6-6 tie. However, though, I do think that for the last several years, and even before I stopped watching the NFL, that was always a very big talk point with all my friends in school. How can this rule be fixed where it becomes a thing where either both teams get the ball regardless of what the team does with their first possession? Or do we have to just start playing double overtime, triple overtime, or go the gimmick way of going to the college football style playoff or the college football overtime system? Again, I don't know if there's a right way for it to be done, because I know that football is such a demanding sport with all the constant hitting and stuff, but there has to be some kind of common ground that can be done here where football, the American version of it, can actually play to a winner once the game is not in regulation time.
So the issues you run into is, and I just want to look this up just to make sure I have the right scenario before I say it. Okay. So they both play in the NFC. What happens if a tie-break scenario comes up between the Cowboys and the Packers for a wild card spot? And since do they only play once for the year or no?
Yeah, because it's not a divisional game.
So what happens if a tiebreaker happens and because they use head-to-head in the NFL?
Right.
Now you're going to go to one of those other dopey stats that they're going to like divisional wins or something. Like you can't do that because it's a wild card. So I'd be curious to know what happens there. Ties are ridiculous in the NFL. Also, not winning or losing a game is significant because it takes away from your record to get to possibly win the conference. So I don't know what you do here. I mean, I have one scenario that I would throw out there, which is I want to see a field goal kicking contest for the win. Heck, I know you don't watch as much, but there were some 60-plus yard field goals hit last Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do a longest field goal contest to determine the winner if you don't win it in overtime.
Almost like how the All-Star game for baseball ended in the swing-off this year without extra innings.
Yeah, and I think they should do that in baseball too, to be quite honest, instead of playing extra innings. But it would be more entertaining for the fans.
I'll give it time.
But field goal contest. Let's go. Put these kickers to work because they don't do as much during the game anyway. And also, you talked about just now about protecting the players as well. That would take some onus off the players. And no blocking. No blocking. It's just making the field goals. Whoever makes the longest field goal wins.
I wonder. I mean, I still would think that they should play a quarter. I mean, 10 minutes is one thing. Did it get bumped back to 15 or is it still a 10-minute quarter for overtime in the NFL?
I'm going to look that up right now.
Because I don't know, Nick, like I said, and this is not even me being bullish about the sport. I just don't know if there's a common ground or like a middle ground that will appease
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
But it's but for the postseason, it's 15.
15 minutes, and both teams get the ball, I think, in the
Well,
postseason.
they still get it. They both still get it now.
I don't know. Because I remember way back when, about 20 years ago, when I still cared about the NFL, 57% of the time, underneath the old rule, if you won the coin toss, you won the game 57% of the time on the opening possession.
Well, right, because of the first possession. That rule is still in effect.
Death.
That rule is still in effect, by the way. That if you score a touchdown on the first possession, it's over. The thing they had to change, because it wasn't fair,
field goal,
was you shouldn't win a game on a field goal. That's ridiculous. I mean, so they said, well, actually, that's not the reason. The reason that they were like, each team should get a chance to possess the football in overtime.
I still think that should be the case.
Now, I totally get why they do a touchdown, because it's harder to score a touchdown on a possession. So you did the hard work, you win the game. That's the way. But if you score a field goal, then they get another chance to tie or win.
They should make overtime where both teams have to run a 2-minute drill linked to the field.
I mean, that's essentially what they do because they punt the football anyway. But here's the thing. It technically becomes sudden death if someone doesn't score on the first possession, technically anyway. So if you don't score a touchdown, I think it's over if the second possession has a field goal or a touchdown to win. So it is technically sudden death at the first possession.
I'm going to ask our trusty friends, Nick, real quick at Google Gemini about how they think that the NFL could perhaps change their format at this rate.
Live and to the moment.
In real time. Let's see. So they say for the regular season, the NFL would need to remove the 10-minute time limit and commit to playing until a winner is determined, just like in the playoffs. The main resistance to this is due to the concerns over player safety and scheduling and TV window constraints for regular season games.
They're never going to remove the time.
So they're saying play without the clock until someone wins the game.
They're not going to do that because then they can't control how long it goes. Because what happens, say that people just keep missing and missing and missing and missing and missing. You don't know how long it's going to take.
Exactly. That is true. Let's see. How about unlimited overtime periods or quarters? Almost like postseason hockey.
Again, they're not going to do it because they have to be able to control like TV timeouts during overtime and 2-minute warnings in overtime, so they can't do it.
Adopt a college football style format, but with slight changes for the NFL.
So you mean like the 2-yard line or the 3-yard line when
Adopt a format inspired by the NCAA football overtime rules, where teams begin the position from a specific yard line and alternate drives until one team leads. Adjustments could be made where the team has to go from the 50 and score a touchdown or a field goal.
I'm not opposed to it.
Mandate a 2-point conversion after any touchdown.
I like that. That they should be doing that anyway.
And
in
then
overtime.
only allow touchdowns to win after the initial possession is matched by both sides.
I don't think they will agree to that because, like I said, they're going to keep the one rule in place where if you worked hard enough to get that touchdown, the game's over on the first possession.
Make regular season OT 15 minutes. Not 10.
Regular, you're saying?
Yeah. Increase the regular season OT to 15 minutes, not 10.
I think they're worried about health. I think that's why it's 10 and not 15. During the postseason, it's a different animal because they want to see more postseason football. So that's why they go from 10 to 15 if it hits overtime. It's more TV time.
I kind of like the 50-yard drive to win the game, though. That is a pretty good one.
We'll see if it happens. I don't know if it'll happen, though.
I got it. Nick, we'll stay in football, but in college, and talk about more scorched earth, Nick, happening in the world of sports. But ESPN college football analyst Heather Dinich recently went scorched earth on the AP Top 25 poll, calling it garbage. After the latest rankings were released, Dinich specifically took issue with the placement of the Florida State Seminoles at number 18, 10 below Alabama, despite the Seminoles beating the Tide in Tallahassee earlier this season. She argued that the poll was way too reactionary and failed to use the same logic that the College Football Playoff Selection Committee would apply, which does prioritize head-to-head results. So, Nick, was Heather's fiery take on the AP poll justified? And does the controversy that persists with the rankings over these kind of polls diminish their relevance as we move closer to the college football playoff soon?
So I was talking to Zan about this actually. Now, I'm still getting into the college game. I like it a lot more than I did. Like I watch a lot of the games now, but my theory, and Zan actually agreed with me on it, was they need to stop doing the polls before the actual ones start. Who gives a crap about where the rankings are until the official part of the season starts, when the committee starts doing the rankings? I don't care. Tell me what those mean. They mean nothing, right?
Popularity contest. But
I'm saying, does it really matter if you're the number one team in the world now, or does it matter when the playoff committee starts doing it?
When the committee begins to vote, not in week 5 of the season.
Exactly. That's my point. Like these rankings, and then you get everybody arguing about the rankings. That's why they do it so early in the year.
Because they want the debate to keep going as time goes on.
And that's the problem that I was talking about before. Hot take debate culture. We'll start doing things earlier and earlier and earlier, so it gets people screaming and yelling. And then by the time they get to the actual committee votes, they're on fire. No, it's because you forced us to do it. Like, how do you fix that?
I don't know if there's a proper way for this either. I think that any ranking system, mainly, Nick, in the two big sports, football and men's basketball and women's basketball, they both don't mean anything until you get close to March Madness or the CFP.
Nick D and I actually had a conversation about the rankings that you see next to the teams. They mean nothing. Nothing. Does it matter if you're the number one ranked team in the country? No.
And more importantly, Nick, I'm glad that Heather Dinich went medieval, because
Yes.
I know that a lot of you on Forever Power 5 or on shows on here, even I was even perplexed. How in the world can this voting committee put a club, team, franchise, whatever you want to call them? Anyway, how do you put Notre Dame in at 24 when they were 0-2 to start the season?
Well, this is the debate I had with the guys last year.
By the way, I don't give a you-know-what that Notre Dame gets voting power when it comes to the committee. I get that they're never going to join a conference and it's Notre Dame, it's this or that. If you're 0-2, you don't deserve to be in the top 25. I don't care how much money you paid, you pay for rights or all that. You're 0-2. Again, do I have to say the line, Nick? I'm going to. This is like my thing about TikTok views and jersey sales not winning a certain hockey team games.
Yes.
You being Notre Dame and you having an NBC deal does not mean you get to be in the top 25 when you go 0-2 out of the gate.
Excuse me. This goes back to a debate I had with Nick D, and Zan, and some others, that we're getting away from wins and losses. Like, we're forgetting that this is a competitive sport where you're supposed to win games. And I can't remember the team from last year in the college football playoff that was undefeated. They lost their quarterback due to injury.
Florida State.
Was it Florida State that was undefeated, and then they got crushed by whatever?
No, Florida State got left out. Oh, goodness. Who was it?
Well, I got mad that Florida State didn't make it because they were an undefeated team. Weren't they?
I think so.
And I kept yelling and screaming. I'm like, they're an undefeated team. How are they not in the college football playoff?
And they won the ACC title, I think, too.
So I said, we're forgetting about wins and losses. They're ranking a Notre Dame team who's didn't win a game before in the top 24. And then there was that whole story that they did on Forever Power 5 with the woman voter, and I forgot which team it was that she put ahead. But like, was
it South Florida, maybe? South Florida?
Yeah, I think so. It was like, first of all, she's from California. Go figure. But like, you can't have teams with no wins at the top of the AP poll.
Hell no.
Can we go back? I said to Zan, can we just scrap the AP poll and just play for wins and losses, like we're supposed to?
No.
Like Alabama should not be in the top. They've lost quite a few games already to some pretty bad teams. Okay. What? First of all, it's a little deceptive how you measure a win or a loss.
Yeah.
So, well, if Alabama lost to a shitty D2 team, like that Alabama paid, which, by the way, that's another topic for another day. How many big teams have paid and then lost their games this year?
This year alone, at least 7 schools have, including UCLA on 2 different occasions, I think.
I think Army had one also.
Army lost to Carleton State. West Virginia or Virginia lost to Old Dominion.
So that's another thing I wish.
Lost to New Mexico, and it cost Sean Foster his job.
That's another rule I wish they would put into place, that you can't pay teams to come play. I wish they would get rid of it. It's an awful practice, I feel like. And first of all, you're making a team look like shit when they come in. And then, you know what? I was happy when those teams won because it stuck a fork in the head.
I mean, nothing will ever top App State beating Michigan.
Yeah, that was bad too. But they made a lot of money and they got a win out of it.
I don't know. The top 25s in I'd say almost every sport are bogus, and that it doesn't matter to me until you're a month away from the CFP or a month away from March Madness starting is about when that actually matters. Because I think, Nick, usually the college basketball polls in both men's and women's hoops are they're usually pretty good about when it comes to their top 25. Because usually those top 4 teams are your number 1 seeds going into the tournament. Usually I'd say, not all the time. But especially though, Nick, with where the CFP is at after its first year of the 12-team format. Oh, we want to have 24 teams. We want to have a 28-team field. Like, now they're just watering down the park where now anyone in the top 25 poll is going to get in, and some teams are going to get their ass kicked.
And by the way, that leads to the whole other thing, like the March Madness debate, as they keep expanding the field. Like, it's 68. There was a rumor they wanted to do 96 for crying out loud.
And I think we talked about going to 72 or 74.
And just stop. Just stop adding teams. Because eventually when you get past 68 teams, you're going to get these crappy schools, no offense, that don't deserve to be there. And then you're going to get crappy television. You're going to get people complaining on social media. Well, why did we have to put these teams in? Well, you asked for an expanded field, right? I mean, so when you expand a field, like the NFL, that's now adding a third wild card to each side. You know what that means, right? Half the league is going to make the playoffs in the NFL.
Look at Major League Baseball.
But my point is, think about half the league in the NFL making the playoffs. How many of those teams are legitimately Super Bowl worthy?
Not many.
4, 5, maybe? Out of a possible 16?
Yeah. Not even half.
So it's all about TV and money. Oh, because it's a playoff game. First of all, they've watered down the wild card in Major League Baseball because they keep adding to it. Look at the format this year. 2 wild card teams playing each other. And then they go and they play an ALDS.
And more importantly, too, with MLB, with how it's stacked up, 2 divisional rivals are playing in a game 3 today.
See, I think that's effed up too because of the way of the format. Now you have. Do you remember way back when you couldn't play your team, your division rival until when?
The CS,
right?
Yeah.
So what changed that all of a sudden?
Yeah,
because of the third wild card. That's why.
Yeah,
because you can't stop, I guess, divisional teams at that point from playing each other.
Right.
So, but I used to love that. Like, we couldn't face the Red Sox until the CS.
Yeah.
You couldn't face the Cubs or the Cardinals until the CS.
Right.
Now, you're playing your division rivals in the wild card.
And now there's a chance if things go the way that I hope they do, it could be Padres, Dodgers, and the NLCS because they're on the opposite side of the bracket.
So, I don't know how you stop this, but I think Heather's right that it is garbage, and in long story short, what she really should be complaining about is not the poll itself, but just we don't need a playoff poll, period. Just whoever wins the most should get to the CFP, and that's it.
So, by the way, for those who are curious, the top 25 as of this week in the AP top 25, Ohio State, Oregon, Miami, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, 1 through 5. Texas A&M.
Okay.
Penn State, Indiana, Texas, Alabama, 6 through 10. Texas Tech, Georgia, LSU, Iowa State, Tennessee, 11 through 15. Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, Florida State, Mizzou, and Michigan, 16 through 20. Then Notre Dame, Illinois, BYU, Virginia, Arizona State for the top 25.
So I didn't hear Notre Dame in there, though.
21st.
Oh, were they 21st? Okay, I didn't hear it.
A 2-2 Notre Dame Fighting Irish football team, Nick, got in over USC and TCU, who got dropped from the rankings.
I guess because of the Illinois win over USC, maybe. But Illinois is not a slouch. I mean, they have injuries now. I can ask Zan and Will about that. But I don't know. This ranking system is dumb, and it's causing people to go crazy because they're treating a ranking number as more important than getting a win.
Yeah, what does the record say? I don't care if you're number 1. Are you 5-0? Are you 4-1? That's all that really should matter.
Nick D said it best. Rankings are just a number.
That's all they are.
They don't mean shit. They don't. And you want to know why they gain more prominent brand? Because of March Madness.
Yeah.
Because once you get in, whatever your rank is, it doesn't matter. It's just a placement spot.
That's all it is. It's a placeholder.
So once you get past the placement spot, I find it funny that the announcers obsess. Well, number 1, blah, 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 plays number 8. But who cares?
Exactly. I don't get it. Nick, let's get to our last commercial break before we get to the last hour of the program. But of course, Nick, I got to step away for just a moment. But you can go ahead and tell the good folks about Novig, and I'll even put our Press Row Parlay back on screen for you, sir. Here, have at it, because we got the first game of the day finally underway in the baseball playoffs.
Well, looking for better odds, Novig has you covered. With Novig, you always get better prices than traditional sports books, and you can even set your own odds to the market. It's the only free exchange. You keep 100% of your winnings. Sign up now with promo code ETB Network, ETBNETWORK, and get 1,000 Novig coins plus $5 in Novig cash to start playing. If you put $5 on your app, you get $50 in free plays. So sign up using the promo code ETB Network, ETBNETWORK. Put $5 on your account, make a $5 play, and you automatically get $50 in bonus plays. Must be 21 years or older to play. Have a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER and gamble responsibly while playing on the Novig app. And as Callan said, he put up the Press Row Parlay that we have active going right now. And the first game is officially live. It is Tigers Guardians Game 3. And it looks like it is 0-0. And let me just pull up the official box score here on ESPN. It is 2 outs. So it's in the top of the second, 2 outs. And it's 0-0 currently. Following that game will be Padres Cubs, 5 p.m. Eastern. On ESPN. That'll be from Wrigley Field. That'll be game 2 of the day. And then followed by at 8 p.m. Eastern, Red Sox, Yankees. So make sure we catch all 3 of those games. And make sure you go on your Novig app to check those out.
And get playing, folks, as Nick said, with that promo code ETB Network. Again, spend 5, get 50 back, and have fun with it. As we also said, please do so responsibly. All right, Nick, we're at the last stretch run here of the program. Nick, the Mariners, the number 2 seed in the American League playoff field, announced after their final game of the regular season that they'll be moving off of Root Sports at the end of the season and moving their local broadcast to a new partnership deal with MLB.TV. A major development right there in the ongoing regional sports network crisis, as the team is now in full control of their broadcast rights. The deal is now expected to be a major win for fans, as it will likely result in a more affordable and better accessible option for watching games with no local blackouts for streaming on MLB.TV. So, Nick, what does the Mariners' move from a traditional RSN to a DTC model mean for the future of local sports broadcasting, and will this become a new standard for Major League Baseball?
Well, this is called sellout. Number 1 is where I would look at it. But 2, it could also mean that regional sports networks are finally starting to crumble locally. And this is everybody. There's no money anymore to be had in a regional sports network.
Like there was.
Why do you think they're going digital? Why do you think they're doing everything on social media? Like, what? Think about what we're doing on this platform here, where we have access to NBA, MLB, NFL, full red zone on here, where people can come in here, be interactive experiences with us while we're doing these streams. I mean, heck, tomorrow, hopefully, if schedules work out, we're going to do WNBA Finals Game 1.
So, and we're going to boo the commissioner while we're at it.
Exactly. But this is not a surprise. Now, the way that this headline was written, that the Seattle Mariners are leaving Root Sports, we need to kind of spell that out a little bit. It's not that they're leaving Root Sports. They don't want to pay the money anymore to run their own regional network. Think about Yes Network with the Yankees. Think about SNY with the Mets. Sportsnet, the one in LA for the Dodgers.
For both the Lakers and the Dodgers, yeah.
And then think about the situation you're dealing with the Padres.
Yes.
With, what did they're calling it? Padres TV? I think is what they're calling it.
Padres.TV, presented by UC San Diego Health.
It's funny hearing it that way, but everything is now going digital first. Now, I'm wondering if the Mariners is the first wave now that MLB.TV is also going to be under an ESPN branding situation. Yep. If Major League Baseball is telling, the mid-markets and the small markets, hey, psst, come over here. Come over to MLB.TV. And we'll take care of all the broadcasting situational stuff. And we'll hire your broadcasting teams. We don't have an issue with that. But you're now an MLB.TV property, which, by the way, is technically in our favor, where more people should come over to here and watch, since we have access to all the games anyway. So this platform is going to benefit from that MLB.TV scenario.
More importantly, come watch the NBA with us on Peacock and Prime Video.
Well, that too. So my point is, this benefits these watch party platforms because you can sign up for free, just connect your MLB.TV account and watch every game with us in that regard. Same thing with NBA, same thing with NFL, same thing with everything else. WNBA, if there is a season. But this is not a surprise.
It's not, because the Padres really became the first victim. Then it was like the Padres, the Diamondbacks, the
Guardians,
Rockies, Cleveland, I think Cincinnati. Then the Mariners kind of had like a working deal with the MLB.TV feed, though it was still on Root Sports. But also, Nick, that the Padres got to put 10 games, I think, on the local CBS station on Saturday nights. So in a way, it's almost like what the NBA is doing too, where I think the Clippers can show 15 games in or on over-the-air television, like Channel 9 here in San Diego or KTLA, for example.
We have My 9. We used to have that, or Pix 11, which was
Pix
another
11,
one.
My 9 in New York, for example, with the Yankees and Mets for sure. But I'm even shocked, though, Nick, that the RSN ship is not fully sunk yet. Like it's hit the iceberg, it's sinking, but it's just like it's stalling. Like it's not fully at the bottom of the ocean yet. It's so weird how certain teams are still clinging on to the lifeboat or hanging on to the RSN model here.
Well, one thing I'll say is Major League Baseball is a dinosaur, and they're not
that part we've known, though. Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why the RSNs are still kind of survived, I guess is the word.
Yes.
So the only ones that are going to survive is going to be the major markets, because that's how everybody watches the games. But now you're seeing more interruptions from Amazon. And of course, what we talked about last week, Netflix now entering the boat, and NBC is going to be back. So you're going to see some Peacock games. Eventually what's going to happen is there's going to be so many national interruptions that you're seeing like what happened with Root Sports, where they probably just said, F this, we're not going to, it's not worth the money we're spending if we're going to end up on MLB.TV anyway. So we're just going to throw that away. And that's going to force Root Sports to go under, by the way, because Mariners baseball was a lot of what they did. But everything's becoming national. Look at the NBA. 7 days a week now. There's going to be a national game every single day. Did you ever picture a day in time where there was going to be a national game every single day in any sport, let alone the NBA?
No, and I wrote about that last week on the Mr. Small Market Substack too, about my thoughts about the NBA going that direction. I got pushback from a certain former co-host of this network, like I usually do whenever I write any kind of material. But it still, though, is like it's a little piece of like the fabric of like the years of Chick Hearn doing simulcast with the Lakers, for example, or Ralph Lawler calling Clipper games, or way back when Marty Glickman calling Knicks games, for example, on whatever the network was back then, or even the Eagles calling Nets games on Yes, for example. I know that they're going to be fine though. Like I said though, when James Dolan though votes down, is the only no vote against the national TV package, you have problems. But locally though, Nick, I think that for one, it's obviously yes, the cost of cable is ridiculous. The cost of cable is absolutely atrocious.
Why do you think I went to YouTube TV? I mean, even though YouTube TV, well, I forgot to update that story too, that YouTube TV made another short-term deal with NBC to avoid that nonsense that they were going through. But that's what's happening. YouTube TV, first of all, I was so used to Optimum Cablevision for years that like when my parents said we're going to YouTube TV, I'm like, no! Like, and now I actually like it. Like, because I can categorize everything the way I want it to be on my channel guide. Like I could put the sports at the top and move all the new shit down to the bottom because I'm not going to watch it. Like,
yes.
And now they have the other networks like DraftKings and FanDuel Network because I watch a lot of that stuff on YouTube. Now I can watch it on YouTube TV if I don't feel like coming to my computer and watching it. But everything is national now. Can we just admit the fact that we live in a national sports society now where, and you know what? People are going to throw Rotten Tomatoes at me and say, well, I want my local broadcasters and that's never going to change. Wake up, people. Wake up in reality, please. We don't live in the local bubble anymore. Everything is nationally sent out now. That's like people like when I used to work in radio for 4 years. And people said, well, local radio's never going to die. Wake up. Wake up. Everything. What do you think stations are doing now to stay alive so they don't die? They're carrying more syndication than they've ever carried.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we'll see where this goes. I mean, baseball's got their own problems with media come next season, and I'll be eager to see how the local packages do shake out.
So, what is that saying? When one person does it, everybody else follows normally? You already pointed out the Padres, the Guardians, the Diamondbacks,
Rockies.
The trend was already starting. The ones that are not going to change, like I said, are New York, Los Angeles, Philly, Chicago. Those are big market. Those are, first of all, the Yankees over their dead body would never give up their own regional rights. I know that for a fact.
Same with the Dodgers and Lakers.
So how do you convince those teams to, first of all, they're not going to share.
No.
Because they make so much money off that you think they're going to share with other teams. You think that they're going to easily share with the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Royals and the Rays?
Or the unnamed Athletics.
So if you remember in Major League Baseball, and this is a quick tangent, but before the the revenue sharing rule was in place, teams were not sharing.
No.
The only way to make a competitive balance, and to be honest, I don't think it's worked.
No, absolutely not.
But you remember they put the revenue sharing, or not just the revenue share, but the luxury tax rule in.
Yes.
Because they said, well, it's not fair that the Yankees spend $150 million in the offseason, and the A's and the Pirates and the Royals and the Rockies don't have that money. The Rays don't have that money. So they forced the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Phillies and the Dodgers and the Cubs to pay the teams below them. I always thought that was dumb.
Mm-hmm.
If your team has more money, then you have an advantage. Why do you have to trickle money down to teams that are not willing to put money in?
All you got to do is do what the NHL and NBA have, and you have to have a spending floor to get to. Simple as that.
But it's not. If you have more money, that's your advantage.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to spread that out to teams because they're not willing to put the money in necessary to win. Pirates are never going to win. Rockies are never going to win. Okay, the Royals maybe someday because they have a young franchise, but they're never going to win.
Right. I mean, not like where San Diego's at now, where the Dodgers have been, where the Yankees have been, the Cubs have been. I mean, we'll see. I mean, baseball's got to figure out the local stuff though, like soon.
They're the last one that are going to live and die on it. It'd be nice if they just said, "Look, it's dead. Let's just go national platform." Unfortunately, and just move on. But the major markets are just not going to let that go because that's where their money is.
Nick, in the NBA, a new lawsuit has been unsealed. This is kind of an interesting tangent. It has revealed that RAJ Sports, the group that was working with the family behind Panda Express to buy the Portland Trail Blazers, is now suing the family for abandoning their bid at the final hour. Per the lawsuit, the Churn family, who founded Panda Express, had a confidentiality and also exclusive agreement with RAJ Sports. However, they allegedly broke that agreement to join a competing group led by Carolina Hurricanes owner and one-time AAF owner Tom Dundon, who ultimately won the bid for the Blazer franchise after the sale by Paul Allen's family trust. The lawsuit now seeks to prevent the Churn family from moving forward as investors within Tom Dundon's group. So, Nick, what does the lawsuit reveal about the inner workings of professional sports ownership bids? And will it be enough to derail the sale or final sale of the Blazer franchise? I don't think so, sadly.
I think when you and I were talking about this the other night, this is going to be a legal battle of he said, she said.
Yep.
And who did someone break a privacy law for?
Right. Who knows?
Because usually when ownership bids come in for any franchise, it's supposed to be private. And it almost sounds like they had information. They said, "Oh shit, I can't win in this bid. I'll jump over here." The problem is if you remember the situation in Major League Baseball between the Cardinals and the Astros when the scandal happened. I can't remember the guy's name, but
I forget. But it was like he had hacked into servers and then stole passwords.
It's not that he hacked; he had the information for. Yeah. I want to look this up just because I don't want to get this information wrong. But let's see. I just remember it. Trying to look up I'm trying to remember the GM who it was. Oh, Jeff Lunau.
Yes. Oh goodness. Yes.
So Lunau tried to take the information that he had. I don't know. Was he the Cardinals GM first or the Astros GM first?
I think he was Houston at one. I know he was with Houston at one point in time. I don't know about where he was beforehand though.
I'm trying to see if I could find it, but it was a significant scandal. I remember. But he stole player information. That was it. He stole player information from the prior place.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And it led to a whole thing because obviously when you leave a franchise, you're not supposed to take what you take with you.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, here it is. Hacking of the Cardinals database in 2015. 2015, the FBI investigated the Cardinals for allegedly hacking into the Astros internal database. The hack was reportedly orchestrated by Cardinals employees to target Lunau, who had previously worked for the Cardinals. So that's what happened.
Jeez.
So that's the point I was trying to get at. You got to be careful what information you have. And then if you take it somewhere else, that's stealing. And giving it to another group so they have an advantage.
Yeah, I think ownership sales, Nick, are always troublesome, especially when it's like a family trust. Like Paul Allen's estate selling off the Blazers and the Seahawks and the Sounders, I believe, at one point in time. This, though, is a very weird thing, though, and we're going to talk about another ownership sale a bit later in the show. But this is something, though, Nick, of almost, to me, I don't know if this is a good comparison, but why does this feel like this is one of those, if you can't beat them, join them sort of ordeals?
That's more of an athlete. That's like a Kevin Durant syndrome, like where he was with the Oklahoma City Thunder. They lost to the Warriors. Then he ended up with the Warriors, and they won a few titles. But in ownership, that's a weird spot to be in because you don't like the way an ownership goes, but you take the information they were given to you and try to use it against them. That's a legal situation written all over it. Seriously, because privacy matters. Information maybe you were not supposed to share with other people, which then could be used as an advantage source against somebody else. If you remember, this happened between the Knicks and the Raptors too. If you remember that,
yeah, and I remember that got very ugly and out of control.
That was a huge lawsuit because I think one of the Knicks former employees went to go work for the Raptors, I think, and he tried to take all the player information and scouting information with him, and that I think it got settled eventually. But you got to be careful, man. Like, you can't once you do one thing, like if you're going to go to another ownership group, you got to start over again. You can't, unless the information was actually sourced and created by you, you can't take it with you.
By the way, a quick game update. Tigers now have first and third, one away, no score, top three. Thank you to Novik, by the way, for giving us the live odds right now as this game is going on, because Nick, it actually helps our next story, which is about Amazon announcing its plans to launch a new feature during NBA games on Prime Video that will display personalized betting odds for viewers who want to link their Prime Video profile to their FanDuel accounts. The feature, which is optional and can be turned off, will show real-time updates on active bets, providing a new layer of engagement for fans who are also sports bettors. This move is a major step in the integration of sports broadcasting and wagering, and will give Amazon a new way to monetize its live sports broadcast, which, oh, by the way, real quick, the Tigers have now got in front 1-0, top half of the third inning on a base hit through the right side of the infield. So, Nick, is Amazon's new personalized betting odds feature a game changer for sports broadcasting, or a sign that the industry might be moving too fast to integrate sports betting, as we are here right now with Novig?
We were reading the comments, I remember, on Twitter when this story broke. And people were, no more betting. It's degenerate BS. Guys, it's time to get with it. It's time to move into the new era, which is gambling content and getting with the picture of today's digital content. Like, gambling is going to be part of sports. Wow, they are really updating that on the spot. Look at that. But and by the way, this is exactly right. The point you were talking about, where they're updating gambling odds as we're doing games.
And this ties into our story.
And listen, they give you an opt-out for a reason. You don't have to. Well, let me correct one thing on that. It's not even that there's an opt-out. You have to connect your account every time you want to use it. So people, I think, got upset because they thought they were just going to put like FanDuel odds all over. They can't do that. Number one, that would kind of disrupt the product as you're watching it.
In a way, it's like when we were watching the NBA playoffs this year, that it was the very small bottom left corner FanDuel odds they would show, spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And that was it. It was like for a 30-second ordeal. This here could be the same exact thing, though, only though if you opt into actually doing it.
See, this I actually like, that now we could show odds while we're doing shows, because how cool would it be, hopefully tomorrow, that we can show live WNBA finals as they keep updating it? Wow.
So far, Nick, I only see baseball and for some reason the NBA right now.
I hope that they put the WNBA in, hopefully, but this is it'll look crazier once we do the NBA games, when we're kind of whipping around a little bit, because you'll get live odds in a flash as they continue to show up.
Yeah, and for those that are wondering, by the way, it's a new feature we have in our chat box. I'm manually doing it whenever it does update, because I can go and check real quick to the live odds. And as soon as I see a change, I can just click it and it will go to the chat. Then we can put it up as a spotlight feature.
I hope eventually, because they said they want to do an actual ticker, that way you could just have them running and then it changes as it goes. But listen, you don't have to do it. I think they misconstrued the headline a little bit. Like when Andrew Marchand put it out, it said, "Oh, well, they're adding FanDuel odds," almost like they're not giving you a choice. No, you have to log in. You have to log in. It's the only way. First of all, legally, you couldn't make a bet unless you were logged in. So that makes perfect sense that you would have to log in if you want your odds connected to a broadcast. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense otherwise. So, first of all, people need to calm down. Gambling is a part of sports. Sports betting is part of sports. And you're going to see, like, by the way, get over it. Like, we work with I'm trying to not say sports book because that's not technically what this is. A sports prediction market is what we're working with. So we're working with gambling content now. So it's the future of the sport. That's how more curtain pulling here. That's how our networks are going to make money so that we can bring more content that everyone wants to see. And just for my sake, that way my people could be paid so that they can do stuff here. Okay? That's how this world works. If you're not getting sponsor revenue, then you're going to die. So that's what Amazon is doing. That's what NBC is doing. That's what ABC and ESPN are doing. On ESPN, you see ESPN Bet odds everywhere. On NBC, I think you see Roto World because I think they have a deal with NBC. So look at Matthew Berry's on everything now with NBC. If you don't know who Matthew Berry is, obviously fantasy sports guru forever and still is. And we talked about his writing columns being done, whatever that famous thing that he did for
the love-hate column after each week of the NFL season.
And I used to read that too, and it was very well written, by the way. But this is not new. This is going to, unfortunately, become more, not less.
By the way, one quick follow-up story that Jen just put in the chat box, but former Capitals forward TJ Oshie is now going to be an ESPN NHL studio and game analyst for the upcoming season, starting next week. We'll have more about that on our show next Wednesday. And also, the Chicago Bears are being shredded right now as well, Nick, for the copy-paste of the Allegiant Stadium blueprint. It looks like the stadium in Arlington Heights. It's pretty funny.
That's like TNT and ESPN with the inside the NBA logo.
Did I not say that last time we were on the air? Like, you can copy my homework, just change a few things here and there?
Maybe we'll talk about that in press clippings when we get to the end of the show, because I'm pretty mad about that.
Nick, in your neck of the woods, the Ryder Cup has come and gone from Bethpage Black. It was defined, though, by unhinged fan behavior and a lot of responses in fiery fashion from players, but also a major scuffle broke out between both caddies and players on the 15th green as Justin Rose's caddy and Bryson DeChambeau's caddy got into a very much heated exchange, which further went along to the 16th tee when Scott Scheffler's caddy, Ted Scott, put his hands on European vice captain Francesco Molinari. Meanwhile, though, Rory McIlroy was the main primary target of the abuse and heckling, with some fans even making comments about his wife and even one fan pouring his drink or their drink over Rory's wife. In a now viral moment, McIlroy snapped at hecklers during his match, turning to the crowd and yelled STFU, and also pointed at the scoreboard and yelled, "We are beating you, get in the hole," during the course of Team Europe's utter domination of Team USA early on in the tournament. But McIlroy's on-course behavior and the exchanges with the fan base have sparked a major debate about sportsmanship but also fan etiquette at one of golf's most storied events, especially the Ryder Cup. But, Nick, was the behavior, though, at the recent tournament a toxic environment, or does it show that the sport is becoming more engaging for fans and players? I say no. This felt like a giant college frat party.
Yeah, and by the way, just for context here, just so people can see what we're talking about, this is the incident where Rory decided to get a little rowdy with the crowd. And I just want you to hear for context this.
Guys, shut the fuck up.
Like, really? Really?
This isn't the Waste Management Open in Phoenix, folks.
Oh my God, I remember that story when it ever they oversold alcohol and they should have stopped. But
They had streakers. They had people throwing beer cups on the green when guys were taking their tee shots at the 16th hole this
I
year.
think they were breaking glass, if I'm not
They were
mistaken.
breaking glass. Like, Nick, it felt like a giant American Pie frat party this past weekend at Bethpage Black.
Right. And by the way, I totally understand the frustration of Rory and other players. His wife apparently got a drink dumped on her. She was getting harassed. But as a professional athlete,
got to block it out.
You can't say shut the fuck up. Especially when it's on live TV on NBC. You can't do it. I'm sorry. And like people are going to say I'm being sensitive about it. Like I'm not. Like you know this, like as a professional either broadcaster or athlete, you got to hold yourself to a standard. You can't curse. You can't tell fans to go F off. You can't. It's a bad look.
We can go this way, Nick, or we can go that way with the Ryder Cup. For one, we could say about the president shows up on Friday to the event for one thing.
That was a shit show.
We can look at the angle of, hey, it's Team USA, it's America versus the world in this tournament. We can also look, Nick, at my set of eyes, which is 20/50 vision, and it's also colorblindness. It is the fact, to me, this felt like the PGA versus LIV coming to a head in some weird way this past weekend at Bethpage Black too.
I could see that. Now, I told you I walked the course many years ago there.
Yes.
It feels like a phone booth when you walk up and down the holes. Like everyone like fills in like a bunch of sardines behind the ropes over there. Also, I went on a day where the rain made it a muddy shithole to walk around in. Like it was bad. Like my dad and you want to know how long ago this was? This was before my dad's car accident. Like that's how, like over 20 years ago. And it's not the greatest atmosphere there. It's not. And fans act like jerks.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the frustration in a very small way from Rory, because in golf, you're not supposed to be yapping it up when a guy is lining up his tee shot or a putt. But it's the way, though, that he reacted. And the videos, Nick, though, about how Team Europe celebrated the win, though, how Rory popped off at the press conference, them on the bus chanting about Team USA, where, Nick, at one point, a former co-host of this network said that he used to root for the world to beat Team USA in the Olympics because Evan Fournier, longtime former NBA player, even said it right the one time that the American men's basketball team dropped back-to-back exhibitions in Vegas during the tune-up for, I believe, either FIBA or the Olympics. Hey, we play team basketball. The American guys are all about themselves and their money. We care about playing for the flag and for our country and for the team, not just me, myself, and I.
Right.
And I feel like too much, though, Nick, that during the weekend, the Team USA guys let their ego and their money and, I play for the PGA. Well, I play for LIV. All that came to a head, though. That's why they got their ass kicked, though, this past weekend. And, yeah, they were so close to the great comeback, but it would have made a damn difference.
Well, first of all, the Europeans have won the last 7 Ryder Cups. I mean, we've been dominated by the Europeans in the Ryder Cup. It also goes to show you that international in any sport is going to be better than sometimes what we produce here in the U.S. Any sport.
Because they care about the team. We care about ourselves only.
Look at the NBA. What are most of our stars in the NBA? It's international.
National.
MLB. International.
National.
Hockey's
always been international. So is soccer.
The only one that's not really international is the NFL.
Yeah.
But you're starting to see it a little bit in the
auto racing is kind of becoming more and more international too.
Right. UFC.
Golf,
UFC is wholly international. Like, so is tennis. Like
golf.
Yeah, that too. Right. I mean, U.S. sports are dominated by international. That's what we become. So, I don't know. Could McElroy have handled that better? Yes, but
1,000%.
But I don't blame him because his wife got attacked and drink poured on her. Like, it reminds me of what was it at Yankee Stadium? Cliff Lee's wife was getting barraged by beer by the Yankee fans when they were playing Philly.
Yep.
So I don't know. Fans are fans. Fan is short for what again?
Fanatic. Fandom.
Exactly. I'm not excusing the behavior, but you know what you're dealing with.
No, the behavior can be condemned. You know, yelling freedom at Rory McIlroy, for one thing, is stupid. You know, and then the out-of-controlness of the, liquor sales being out of control. But also, Nick, away from the fans, though, the fact that we nearly had golfers come to blows, though, between holes 15 and 16 was pretty stupid.
That was bad. That was really bad.
And this went to a point, though, way before I knew you and knew anybody on this network when I was doing this show on a different outlet, was I recall when I last talked in detail about the PGA Tour and the ongoing struggle with LIV. To me, it felt like one of the last times they met, and I was sounding off on the topic. These two entities, Nick, just remind me of when you and I and our cousins would be at the Thanksgiving dinner table acting like immature children, throwing our turkey and yams at each other and calling people names and wanting to, throw down at at Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner. Until these golfers can grow a pair, literally and figuratively, and actually come to the table and actually negotiate in good faith, golf is going to be stuck in this rut for forever.
I mean, first of all, LIV is nothing compared to the PGA. I'm just going to say that, number one. The only reason LIV is in the conversation is because they're just throwing billions of dollars at golfers that say take it. Now, in my opinion, I think that's blood money or dirty money, if you ask me. But the PGA is always going to be the brand. LIV is just going to try and buy you, which is what they've done. I mean, heck, they offered Tiger Woods like $800 million to go play for LIV. $800 million.
And guess what he said?
STFU.
Yeah.
He doesn't need $800 million. He's the richest golfer in professional sports. He's one of the richest athletes. He's the second brand behind. Well, he's not with Nike anymore. When he was with Nike, he was the second prominent brand behind Michael Jordan for many, many years. And now he's doing his own thing. But when you think Nike, what do you think? You think Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Roger Federer. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, just top athletes at Nike.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, but they didn't need that money. Right. They didn't need that money, though. So it's a bad look, but you can't really do much about it now.
Not at all. All right, Nick, press clippings we go. Here we've gone past the 3-hour time frame. Who really cares? The MLB regular season viewership saw a huge increase this season with ESPN, Fox, and TNT/TBS all reporting double-digit gains. The ratings for the regular season fueled by a competitive pennant race that came down to the last day of the season and rising youth stars movement are a good sign for the league as it heads into the postseason. Nick, your thoughts?
I'm kind of shocked a little bit because Major League Baseball's been going through a massive decline over the last couple of years. One, because of the issue we were just talking about with the RSNs and all that stuff. But from a national approach perspective, more people are going to watch baseball if it's on more. The ESPN thing, that's kind of iffy because they had a large amount of games. They're going to 30 games next year.
Yeah.
So that number is probably going to drop significantly because you're not going to be able to find the games as much anymore. Fox is always going to be a high number because Fox, FS1, they're always on, and they have the playoffs, the DS, the LCS, and the World Series.
I think this year they have the American League this year on Fox because I think the NL is going to be on TNT and TBS.
TBS, yeah. So Fox is always going to be up there. TNT is always going to be up there because they always have the games too. But it's not surprising because there is more younger players that are on display. Ellie De La Cruz, by the way, for the Reds. I mean, they got destroyed in 2 games, but I kind of hope we see the Reds again in the near future for the playoffs because I didn't want to see the Mets get embarrassed again. It's the Dodgers. Like, come on. So this is not surprising, but they got to take a full national approach and get away from the RSNs. It's enough.
Yeah, I mean, eventually I think so. I mean, the Padres are playing in about an hour on ESPN today. I think back to the season, though, this year, Nick, and, the Padres had a lot of off-the-field turmoil this year with ownership. Is the club going to move out of town? Because that was rumored to be one thing between what one side of the family was saying, what the other side of the family was saying. How much can they really do over the offseason to fortify the roster? A lot of minor league deals for Jason Hayward and Yuli Gurriel and Martin Maldonado, for example, and then Gavin Sheets and Jose Iglesias. But then, Nick, I'm reminded, though, the Padres sold out 72 home games this year out of the 81 that they played. So 9 or 10 or 11?
For what?
81 minus 72 is what? 8 games?
Yeah. Wait,
so all of
82 minus 71? No, that's 11. Yeah, 11.
So that number of games is how many the Padres did not sell out this past season or this year alone.
Yeah, the Padres had a good home season when it came to ticket sales.
I think ballpark attendance is going to be fine. I just wonder, though, about where the regular, where TV is going to be going, because I think, ESPN being so damn wishy-washy about we want it, we don't want it. Did Manfred hurt it maybe? I mean, who knows?
Well, no, they pulled out because they didn't want to pay the price anymore because they thought it was too expensive.
True.
But baseball eventually is going to follow the NBA model, I think, at some point, and they're just going to have to take a national approach because the money is not there significantly to have local RSNs doing games. It's just not worth it anymore.
It's not. I mean, either way, though, positive for right now, but I kind of want to see how next year, when we get there, goes for their ratings on television.
Yeah. No, I get that, but local's going to die in the next couple of years.
Nick, back to the NFL. In a shocking turn of events, a federal judge has overturned a jury's $4.7 billion verdict in the ongoing NFL Sunday Ticket antitrust lawsuit, ruling that the plaintiff's expert testimony was flawed. The decision puts the case on hold now and prevents any immediate structural charges or changes to the Sunday Ticket model, which is now on YouTube TV. Nick, wow. Goodness gracious, what a turn of events that is.
So wait, what did they overturn to officially?
So I think that they have to probably take the case back to trial, I believe, from what I've gathered.
No, but I'm saying I don't remember. I have to look this up because I don't remember what happened. Let's see.
The NFL's distribution model, which includes local broadcast and the Sunday Ticket service, is now seen as providing a range of options for fans to follow their favorite teams. NFL expressed gratitude for the ruling. Looks forward to the upcoming season. There is a website for it, by the way, called the NFL Sunday Ticket Antitrust Litigation website.
So what I'm trying to remember what the original ruling was when they did it, but so the federal judge overturned the jury's. Oh, because originally they I think they signaled in terms of the fans saying that what the NFL was doing was unjust.
Yes.
And then now they're turning it back. and I guess they're relitigating it. I guess
sounds like it. No idea. Weird.
Of course, everyone's gonna go back and resettle with the NFL. Ooh, let's give them more money.
Ugh.
Stupid.
Yeah, we'll see where that one goes as well at this rate. Nick, our next press clipping is that the NCAA has adopted a new rule that eliminates the spring transfer portal window, moving to a single wintertime window for college football. The major change, or the change, is a major win for coaches and athletic departments who have been clamoring for more roster stability, but is a major loss for players looking for more freedom to move about the country. Your thoughts?
So again, this all has to do with NIL. It all has to do with there's that new law I think I told you about that Democrats are trying to pass to avoid teams spending like way over
Can't exceed the $20 million cap. Yeah.
Which I think is a good thing because you're going to have higher schools like Alabama, LSU, Georgia, like so on and so forth that have way more NIL budgets so they could spend more money. This is like putting a salary cap on. Like, hey, Major League Baseball, learn a thing or two from this, maybe? Maybe?
No.
So I think this is a good thing because this stops athletes from jumping ship 10 million times. Also, go ask Nico Emanueleva how that's working out. So he went from having 8.5 million to now 1.5. Moron, stay at the school. Earn the $8.5 million.
Too funny.
So I think this is a win because you're not going to, because then it takes some of the power partially out of the kid. Where you're not paying me enough. Bye.
We'll see how the cascading effect is for other sports, not just football, for the new transfer window.
Right.
We'll see how that goes, or the portal window. Nick, this was a late-breaking story late last night. But in another lawsuit, first reported by the San Diego Union Tribune, an entity associated with a private equity firm, Levin Lichtman Capital Partners, has now sued former San Diego Wave FC president and former U.S. Women's National Team head coach Jill Ellis, the former two-time World Cup winning head coach for Team USA. The firm bought the Wave last year from Ron Berkeley for a then-record $120 million and alleges that Jill Ellis's renown and involvement was a key factor in their decision to buy the franchise from Ron Berkeley, who used to own the Pittsburgh Penguins. The suit, though, claims that Ellis resigned 2 days after the deal closed to join FIFA as their chief football officer on December 3rd of 2024. The lawsuit then suggests that Ellis was in negotiations with FIFA at the same time she was maintaining she would stay with the Wave franchise. Nick, can we call this a breach of contract or what?
This is tough because you have legal issues, you have money issues, and then you had the allegations, if you remember, with her and what's her name again? Brittany Alvarado. This is an interesting one because when you have a legal situation, you got to be very careful when you fire somebody because they could come back and sue your ass for all the money, saying that, like you said, a breach of contract if that happens. Now, if I remember correctly, she was mostly responsible for what happened in that situation. Like, she mistreated everybody.
Yes.
And this was a viral story for quite a few weeks.
It was.
Because if I remember, and full disclosure, I actually had a chance to talk to Brittany a little bit over IG DMs. And she said, like, I would talk about it, but there was litigation going on. But otherwise, she said she would have. This is bad. This is going to get ugly. When this type of money is involved and $120 million, that's how much the losses were? Or no?
No, that's how much the franchise was sold for.
But you had said to me allegedly there was $40 million in losses.
Yeah, there was when this whole story blew up, because I covered the Wave as a third-party writer their first year when they came to town. in 2022, and I got to cover Alex Morgan, and all that stuff. And then year 2, they went from being third to the number 1 team in the league. They won the Shield for the number 1 overall record in the league. They lost in the semifinals. Then the next year, Nick, is when all the stuff happened, where Brittany again made the accusations. It was very much public. The franchise suffered after Alex retired that season. They went from 1st to 10th place in the league, and it really blew up though. And I even had a couple of PR colleagues who actually even said, I'm putting my name in the lawsuit. This is what happened to me. Respect my privacy. Wow. And then somewhere along the lines, though, it came out that the franchise was suffering a $40 million loss because of lost attendance. Revenue had gone down after Alex retired. The club obviously had a very bad rap, though, when this lawsuit was going on, though. And it led to a very big decline, though, in fan support, though, for that full season.
This is going to get ugly before it gets better. I'm just going to put that out there first. And I wouldn't be surprised if the ownership had to say, we got to get out of this, even if it means we take a loss on the franchise. This is almost non-recoverable right now.
Yeah. I mean, this is ugly.
Because I didn't even know she was in negotiations with FIFA. I didn't know that. What was she going to do for FIFA, though?
She's become the chief football officer, whatever that means.
Okay, so the CFO. She made this situation worse by going and negotiating with FIFA on the side. And then, because that affects the value of a franchise when one of your main people is running around.
Yeah, and as the press clipping read, though, too, that basically Ellis gave Lauren Lichtman and Arthur Levin her word that she was going to stay with the franchise, and her being involved, though, is why they even bought the club from Berkeley in the first place.
Right. So, I don't know. This is not going to end well, I feel like, and I think eventually it'll lead to a settlement because these cases never go one direction. So there'll probably be a settlement, but it's going to cause the franchise to topple over due to debt. So you could have a settlement and that would be a win-win, but this franchise is in the shitter right now, and there's no way they're going to get out of it because they're full of debt.
And they're trying their best to recoup from it. With that in mind, though, Nick, let's get out of here for the day. Quick update. Cleveland has tied the game 1-1. Nick, we're going to come back next week. Great show again today. Went a little bit long, but final thoughts for today's program or what?
So I guess just looking forward to WNBA finals, which we'll be able to get into. I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about the Cathy Engelbert state of the WNBA address, which I think a lot of people are going to be watching that probably. My guess is, by the way, that it's going to be closed to the media.
Probably.
I think she's just going to do an open podium, no media access, which would be a coward, by the way, in my opinion.
What else would you expect from that front office, though?
Not much, apparently. But I'm sure you and I are probably going to study that, whatever that comes out of that, because she's going to say something obnoxious. We know for a fact. And she's going, well, Naphessa went after me, and I still like her as a human being, and I blah 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 blah. And I'm like, well, so we'll get to that. More MLB playoffs here on the platform as well. Maybe we don't have to hear Ben McDonald's stupid face say dumb things about how hockey doesn't matter.
Yeah, I would hope not after what happened yesterday. And I hope that they do it. I would love for them to do one more promo during the Padre game today and just call them out again for it.
Yes. And by the way, like, there are tweets up the wazoo, like people call, and they're going like viral. I saw the one you were talking about, the ESPN. It's at like almost 1 million. He's got 1,000 followers. The tweet's almost got a million views. Like that. It's brutal. A crazy thing, but that will wrap it up for episode 18 of Press Row. Don't forget to follow the network at ETB Network across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Smash that subscribe button over at youtube.com/ETB Network. We're almost at 1,030 subscribers, so let's keep growing that number. And of course, a massive shout out to Playback TV, even though they knocked us off the screen twice, for making all of this possible. Download the Playback app. Sign up for free at playback.tv. If you want to check us out, playback.tv/ETB Network. And never watch sports alone again. We will be back next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, so 3 hours later next week. Until then, stay plugged in. Thanks to Novig as well. Promo code ETB Network. Sign up, $5, $50 in bonus plays.
Do it.
Do it. Do it. But until then, that's Kellen McClure. I'm Nick Morgeson. Have a good week. Well, have a good night. Have a good week. We will see you next week.